everybody. Welcome to Real People Gaming. I'd like to introduce you to our latest guests on episode 2 of Real People Gaming podcast. We have Charley, Kristyn, also known as...
KBooms?
KBooms. KBooms!
KBooms.
When you're done, you should be like, K-boom out.
And Joe.
Hi.
Today we're going to go into a little bit of how we grew up gaming, what games everybody played, what they're playing now, and probably get into some pop culture stuff later.
Awesome.
Charley, let's start off with you. What are you about?
I'm about to order some pizza.
Special guest spot by pizza later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually...
Domino's.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's actually on its way, so we'll be fine.
Perfect. What's the guy's name? Can you see it on the app?
Why are you
So who's making it? It probably
That's
will
true.
tell me.
It could be a
Real
woman.
People Gaming brought to you by Carl
Hey,
Jr.
my name's Rich. I work at Domino's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
You guys talking about the video?
I use my own car. You want to see it?
Let's see it.
You want to see my car?
No, this isn't a car podcast.
We're not just
I'm
pizza
sorry.
anymore, you know.
I have this black
Oh,
cherry
man.
air freshener because it smells like pizza in here, but not anymore.
Yeah.
5 minutes into this and we're already
Off the
done.
off the rails.
All right,
Thank you
so
very much. Boo! Thank you.
Alright, so
all right, we digress. So the initial topic was supposed to be what got you started.
yeah, I'm Charlie and I like video games. But you know, I'm 39 years old, so I mean I've been playing video games
39, drinking white wine.
Been there since the beginning.
since almost the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, my earliest memory of video games was at my cousin's house. He had I believe it was an Apple II,
Mm-hmm.
and I played a game called Lemonade Stand.
Yep.
It was a very simple concept. You had to look at the weather that day, and then you had to decide how many cups you wanted to buy, how many pounds of sugar, how many lemons, and make as much as you wanted to, but you'd have to figure out how much could you sell a cup for based on the temperature that day. So it's a really, really hot day,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's
That
really,
sounds
really
sick.
hot day. You'd want to charge, let's say, $1, right? And if it's 48 degrees for whatever reason, you're probably not going to be able to sell cold lemonade in 48 degree weather for $1. So you figure, okay, maybe 25 cents. But you're just trying to find that perfect match so that you can, make as much money as possible. And he was like, hey, you should play this game. And I was like, I don't even know what that means, but cool. And I just started plugging numbers in, and it started there. And
Was it a
then
computer game?
yeah, it was a computer, Apple II.
I'm glad you mentioned that
first
game.
Original. It's one of the first home computers.
Yeah.
And he was, he had all that. He had all kinds of cool shit. And I guess they were just like, yeah, he's a kid. He would like video games. Play this. And
Stop
I was like,
bothering me.
yeah. So that was probably. I was probably 5 or 6 at that point. So that's 1984, 85.
Pretty intense for a 5-6-year-old.
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned that game because I had that on Tandy. And for the longest time when I would think back, I was like, was it a game or was it something that was supposed to teach you about business? Was it actually an educational program? Because I have
I
very...
think it did both.
Yeah, I have very vague memories of it, but I do remember sitting there playing it at my grandma's house.
I understood it over time because we would go back and visit that cousin every so often. I would play that game again as
How's
I got a
Lemonade
little bit
Stand
older.
going?
I definitely got better at the game, but when I first started playing it, I didn't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I was just picking arbitrary numbers of things.
Yeah.
But then, later on, there was a kid that moved in across the street from me that had his dad was into all that stuff too. They had an Apple II. They had a Commodore 64, which was like a self-contained computer built into a keyboard that you plugged into a TV. And we played a lot of text-based adventure games where would give you a description. Oh, you're walking down the path and you come to a fork in the road. You can either go left or right. What do you want to do? And then you have to pick and look around and grab or talk or run or whatever you're going to do. And
Not to interrupt your thought, but my first experience with that was HomestarRunner.com.
Yep.
Yes.
I didn't have any games like that.
Dungeon
before
Quest.
That, and
Oh.
Dungeon Quest.
That's
yeah,
probably-
it's
that's-
literally a type in.
Yeah.
point.
yeah, that's exactly what we played. And you had to load them up with
Jungle.
these big floppy disks. You had to stick in on big I forget what the dimensions are, 5.5 inches or whatever they are.
Yeah. People don't know what a floppy disk is.
Enormous.
They
Right
were
now.
they
Even
lived up
adults
to their
don't.
name. They were
Enormous.
floppy.
Yeah. And so, my parents, they figured out that I liked video games, but we didn't have a lot of money. So the first system that I ever had was called Intellivision.
Yep.
And Intellivision was it was sort of like an Atari, and it was about that generation of.
You're old.
Yeah.
I had Smurfs and
And
Bump and Jump
had
on
these
that.
it had these great paddles that looked like almost like a phone.
Yeah.
And it had the number pad on. You would slide the card in.
It also
would correspond to whatever game that you're playing.
didn't have a
Had
joystick.
a wheel,
It
right?
Right. It had a
It
wheel.
looked
Yeah.
like an iPod.
Mhm.
It,
It
like
really
if you
did.
put the slide in, it looked like an iPod.
It really
had
did.
the wheel on the bottom, and then
It was,
line
and that was
numbers.
like 19. I think that came out in like 1982,
Mhm,
or something
roughly
like
about that.
82, 83. So that was one of the first ones I had. It was already a couple of years old at that point, so my parents got a good deal on it. But I also had eventually, right after that, I had an Atari 2600, and an Atari 4800,
Cool.
and just stacks of games because my parents could buy them at flea markets.
Yeah.
At this point, and they did. So I had many games
Were most of
for
them sports games?
Atari. There was
I
there
feel
was
like they had mainly sports games.
there were, like
Is that
Atari
just-
had baseball, and it was
Yeah.
like
They had all-
it was
All
Yeah.
kinds.
no.
very
Here's
loosely defined as a game
here's
of baseball.
here's the kind of games
But it-
Atari had the most of: space games,
Yeah.
Space
space
games.
shooters,
Yeah.
any
Mhm.
They were awesome.
probably half the games have the word space.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
in the
And
title.
Donkey Kong.
You could always be sure if you liked Donkey Kong, there was
Space
50.
donkeys.
No, I was gonna say there was 50 different analogs to Donkey Kong. There was 50 different Space Invaders. There was 50 different Popeye games, which was actually that was pretty much just Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the
The
same
Popeye
game.
game?
Yeah, it was just
Really?
Donkey Kong, which was
Yeah,
pretty much just run and save olive oil.
they were.
But
yeah, I mean,
There was all the same archetypes for their games for the most part.
I remember Battle Tanks was a good one.
Yeah.
that was you would bank the shots off the wall and stuff
Which
to
was-
try and hit the guys.
Which was just a
hiding
copy of
out behind
Combat.
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've heard of Battle Tanks.
Well, that's
Never
like
played it.
you like
I've heard of
Frogger?
it.
Here's Turtle.
Yeah,
It's like Frogger, but a turtle.
right. So those I spent a lot of time playing that stuff because I could never have whatever the current system was.
Is that what you're about?
My mother's excuse was, well, you have XYZ. You don't need this. Like, Ma, it's Nintendo. You don't
Yeah.
understand.
Did she try to hide the game ads from you?
You don't understand.
You're not supposed to see that yet.
And she's like, no, you have Atari.
Not for 2
It's
years.
fine. You have
the same
Atari.
thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not. You don't understand. But the kid across the street, because his dad was into all that stuff, they always had that stuff 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So they had both Nintendo and Sega Master System at the same time with, stack of games. Whatever games were available when those things launched, they had it stacked up. So I would go over their house, which was, if I'm being frank, when I think about it now, it's disgusting. Like, they smoked a lot of cigarettes inside. And the father drank a lot of, I drink a lot of soda. He also drank a lot of soda, but there was
What's wrong with cigarettes and soda?
cans everywhere. Dude.
They were the
And
cool
cigarette
house.
butts everywhere. No, cans.
Oh, there's a cat.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Stacks of them.
You're describing our listeners.
Stacks of cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It was just not. It was not a clean house.
I thought you were going to say the dad was like a heavy drinker.
He drank RC Cola.
Yeah, I mean, that's a story for another day. But those
What did you put in
kids,
the cola?
those kids had
Diet Right.
the systems that I didn't have. So I would go over there and basically I was friends with them because they had video games. And when I think about
So
it,
they had so many cans.
there was a lot of
Yeah,
kids
Nintendo,
there was a lot of
stuff
kids
like
when I was in school that I was friends with only because they had video games.
Yep.
And each kid back then, your catalog had said a lot about you as a person. So I had friends that were into certain types of games, a lot of sports games at this kid's house, or a lot of adventure games at this kid's house. So I would try to go over their house, and that was all I wanted to do. And they'd want to go do stuff, and ride bikes, and I'd be like, no, let's just
Yeah,
go
I'll be right
Nintendo.
behind
Why
you.
would we go do that? Let's just do this. Because
You're
that's
just
all I
a
want to
businessman.
do.
Ghost?
So it was the mattress.
Say it.
But eventually I got a Nintendo. And, from there went on to Genesis and then Super Nintendo. After that, I had Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
I had, my friend had a PlayStation 1. That was, and I played a lot of it in Nintendo 64. I mean, we could do probably a whole hour on just Nintendo 64, and then PlayStation 2 is about where I tapped out for a while.
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 had good games. Though. What made you tap out?
I had, well,
Life.
I had life,
Yeah.
I did.
Finally got a life.
That's
No,
what
no, I
happens
mean,
at
I-
a certain
I-
point, unfortunately.
I lived in a van with like a
Down
band.
the
of-
river?
Yeah, yeah. Like I worked for the band. Like I didn't have an address. I either lived in the van or I lived in like somebody's apartment or on their floor or whatever until we went on tour again.
Mm-hmm.
So for like 2 years, I wasn't playing any video
Yeah.
games. It just wasn't feasible. Plus, when I lived in my apartment, I spent most of my time working, trying to make sure I had enough for the rent the next time. Most times we didn't have cable, and I just wasn't a focus. We had a PlayStation 2 in my apartment. I don't think I really played it all that much.
Just didn't have the time.
Right.
Or the,
And then
the energy.
It wasn't until like Xbox 360 came out, because I missed like the Xbox One generation of games. I just
The original Xbox?
Really.
I didn't have one either.
I wasn't
It wasn't
playing
even on
at
my
the time.
radar.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing at the time, and a lot of people swear by that controller. Like, oh, it's the best controller. It's the best one they ever made. And
What's the name?
they
for the
remade
big
it.
one?
The Duke?
The Duke.
Yeah,
Which we
They're like they
sell.
remade
They
it because
sell it
people
now,
are so
yeah.
into. I can't stand that
Saw it
controller.
again.
Again.
Why do you think people
think it was-
liked it?
I think it was the 360 controller.
I just
people
think
fell in
it's
love with.
The
nostalgia
360
driven.
controller, they didn't change really.
People try to tell me
Xbox
the
One.
GameCube controller is the
Barely.
best
360 's
controller
very
ever made, and
similar.
I couldn't disagree more. Like, I like it because it's kind of like the Nintendo 64 controller.
What's kind of like that?
The
Yeah.
GameCube controller.
Oh, okay.
People tell me this is the best controller ever designed. I'm like, what are you
Nintendo.
fucking
It's because
Yeah.
it's
What do you-
mainly
I know, man. That's not true.
people like the analog stick on it.
Yeah.
'Cause, like a lot of analog sticks have a dead area where, like, if you move it a little bit, it won't register.
Right.
Whereas Nintendo's, at least on the GameCube, it's like you move it a tiny bit, it registers it.
Right.
And that's why it's so popular with Smash players.
Yeah.
But it is very awkward. I don't like the button placement.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be so critical of this. People really enjoy that stuff. I just didn't see that much appeal there. And plus, I missed that whole generation of games. Like, I'll probably go back and play them at some point, especially if my kids end up liking to play video games. We'll probably revisit all the systems just because you can now. But,
Know their
I think I
roots a
ever
little
played-
bit.
What?
Yeah, get to learn their roots a little bit.
yeah.
in Gaming.
Yeah, just the roots in general.
And then in 2010, I bought my first, like, gaming computer. And that's when I really got into...
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but I was already playing it a little bit at that point. 2008, 2009, I was already playing it on a crappy little computer. But it wasn't until I, got divorced and then moved into an apartment and got a nice computer that I
can
started
afford this now.
Yeah.
Were you aware of this, Kristen?
Nope, not at all. Really.
Is Charlie even your real name?
Who are you? But yeah, I mean, that brings us pretty much till now. I don't have the time because of the kids to play video games as much.
Yeah.
But, it's still... I still enjoy them. I still like when I get Game Informer in the mail.
Yeah.
I still like...
Do you get Game Informer in the mail?
Yeah, because we always end up signing up for when we
The
go to
GameStop
GameStop.
thing?
For some-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
This
how
is-
much... Yeah, usually around Christmas time we end up getting a new subscription because we end up buying something there.
Yeah.
But I buy most of my games digitally. I don't... buy physical
I
copies
barely
of
do.
games. Like, it seems so silly to me.
Me and my sister use my GameStop rewards.
And
So
people are like, well, what
every
about the
year it
trade-in
just
value? I'm like,
renews
oh,
itself.
so I can't get raped for $1.
We'll get to the
I
time
would-
when I worked at GameStop.
Exactly. Like,
I forgot you had GameStop. I know, like, I
4
never think
years.
of it, really.
Did you really? Yeah.
4
Yeah.
years.
I always wanted to work there.
I applied for GameStop
I-
3 times.
I know. That's what people say.
I never got the job. And I think it's because I might have been... I feel like they thought I was too old to work there at the time, but I just looked very old for my age. I walked in with a full beard and, like, Jack Black from School of Rock hair. When I was, like, 17, I'm like, what do you got for me?
I play games.
This is
I'm
my
cool. I game.
yeah. Hello, fellow children.
Yeah.
The meme with
Yeah.
Stevie Buscemi.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
What's your
He's
policy with
like
drinking on the
Stevie
job?
Buscemi. He's got like a backwards hat on
Yeah.
and like a hoodie.
Hello.
He's holding a skateboard. And he's like standing in a hallway around
Yeah.
teenagers. Like, what's up, fellow teenagers? Like, obviously not
Yeah.
a teenager.
Yeah.
It's funny how, because you and I are fairly similar enough in age, a
Just
lot
my
of
face.
people in our age group have very paralleled stories with our gaming growing up and kind of had the same cutoff point.
Well, my first system was like that. I remember being for me was Nintendo, and I wasn't super into gaming at that point. Obviously, I played it. I think my parents were like well off enough to get me the systems, but not to get a ton of games.
Yeah.
Like So like I have like a handful of games I remember. I had the original Final Fantasy,
Yep, I had
which
to.
I was way too young to do anything with that. I
A lot of
got
wandering.
yeah I got over that bridge, that cool cutscene, and then was lost and never did anything else. Had Super Mario 3, had Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers,
Yep.
but you know, like all the big games, other than that, I never really had. My next door neighbors had like DuckTales. I'd go next door,
Yeah.
play that all the time. That was great.
That is
Yeah.
awesome
Yeah.
game.
All time best.
What really got me hooked was the Genesis and Sonic the Hedgehog. Like I still remember vividly the morning I got that and opened the box. It was Christmas. I opened the box. I took off the wrap paper, opened the box. I remember playing it. Thought this is as good as it's gonna get. And like,
Yeah.
never gonna look better than this.
My neighbor had it, and I remember seeing Sonic moving that fast on
Yeah.
the screen and thinking to myself, these are the best graphics I've ever seen in my entire life. They
This
can't
is
get
real
any
life.
better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
We
can't
have-
get any better.
We have reached maximum graphics. I remember
Pull the
just
plug
being
now.
blown away by it
Yeah.
and being like, so fast, it looks so
I
good.
know.
And it still does even now.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, honestly.
It
It's
does.
kind of iconic.
But yeah, but I mean, yeah, I feel you. That was
And it's so like
was a good
that
time.
was I had all the Sonic games for Genesis, even Sonic Spinball. My parents knew I loved Sonic. Yeah. No, I still think Sonic Spinball's a
You
pretty
still
good
love
game.
Sonic.
Of course I do.
Hell yeah.
Do you remember Sega TV?
Oh, the Sega Channel.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted that. Obviously, I don't know where the fuck that was available.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but
It's kind of wild. It's
I'm-
sort of ahead of its time.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's not something like that now.
Sega
They were
was-
offering that, what, 20 years ago?
yeah, Sega was always ahead of the time. Like they had
They
a
were. They always beat Nintendo to the
Mhm.
punch. Nintendo beat them in quality,
Yeah.
arguably, but Sega was always
Mhm.
the first to the punch. They
Yeah.
always came out with a system just before Nintendo.
And they came out like it was way too far ahead of its time, so it was never successful. Like they had Sega CD, but it was way too expensive, and
Yeah,
Mhm.
no
yeah,
point to it at that point. They even had an internet adapter for the Sega
Yeah.
Saturn,
yeah.
but like nobody could use it at that point.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was Genesis was my system. That's the one I probably still look at most fondly. After that, I got the Sony PlayStation, which again that was right on the Genesis level with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's probably where most of my favorite games are, like Final Fantasy.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm blanking. Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, Suikoden. You know, all the RPGs on there were great. And I with you, like seeing with you after that, like I kind of faded away after when the PlayStation 2 came out. I had it, but I don't really remember it all that fondly. I remember one game. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy 12. But other than that, like I don't look back on that era very.
You're talking about PlayStation 2?
Yeah,
I'm
like
trying to think. I had the whatever SOCOM game was
yeah.
out for that. I had that game, and I remember I never could play it online because I just didn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
In
made
my
like
life.
the adapter for it.
Yeah,
I
it's-
had
I just
it.
did not have that in my
So
life.
did
I had it. I never used it because I didn't know how.
I only used it for Twisted Metal Black because there was
Twisted Metal.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But
No,
Twisted Metal
those
Black
were-
was that came when I bought that network adapter. It came with an online version of that. I think it was the only game I ever played online in the PlayStation 2. But yeah, that I remember the Jack and Daxter games. I remember, but that
Oh yeah.
that's it. Like I got more back in the gaming, but in PlayStation 3. Like I was one of the idiots
Really?
who bought it. Like
I mean, that was like one of their like least popular.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
actually
Generation. No.
The
Yeah.
What,
PlayStation 3.
2?
PlayStation 3.
the
Oh.
PlayStation 2 was the most successful system ever as
Hell
far
yeah.
as
Mhm.
units sold. Like that's why.
We also had like an insane catalog.
Yeah.
Like wasn't it over 1,000 games?
2,000 games.
2,000 games? It's insane.
It's
Yeah.
funny because what was the lifespan of PlayStation 3? Because a lot of times I'll honestly look at them like, I don't remember there being that iteration of it.
No, it was long. Like it was actually longer than 2.
Really?
I think. Yeah, I think it was like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the 360 era.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
the
So
longest
just
era
just
ever.
put up 360. The PlayStation 3 existed for the same exact amount
Mhm.
of time.
Yeah.
That's when I made
Like
the
right
Switch.
around that time.
Yeah.
When the Xbox came out, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 came out. They basically the two companies started. Now it's
Yeah.
a competition now
Yeah.
forever. They're
I
going
switched
to
from
release them right around
PlayStation
the time
2
of
to
each other.
Xbox 360.
A lot of
Same.
people
That's when
do.
I made the
Mhm.
console switch. I was always PlayStation before that.
PlayStation
And that's
2
what-
is
yeah.
what I'll tell you later, but that's most of the games that I played were PlayStation games.
It might just be an age thing. Like when we got to that age,
Mhm.
Definitely.
That's
we
when I
kind of
really
withdrew
got into
from it,
gaming.
and
Yeah.
it just like it had nothing to do with how the PlayStation 2 was.
Well, the gaming isn't like it is now.
Yeah.
So like these games now, where they require, a lot of them are online or very immersive and require a lot more time and attendance, and it's much more accepted now as like a form of recreation.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was 16, 17, yeah, sure, you could play video games, but like you're not going to the show.
No.
Like you're not going to see this band play. You're not going to this party. You're not going to do these things. It just wasn't. The gaming culture was there, but it wasn't such a identity thing.
We touched on it.
Identify with it now, and it's like a lifestyle, which was still the case back then, but it was much more niche. Like there was only
It's a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of friends that all they ever did was play video games.
No.
I had no friends growing up. All they did was playing video games. We talked about that in the last.
That's what I was going to say. The
podcast,
last episode, we kind of touched on it where, like, especially
now,
growing up, I never really
do
stopped
that.
playing, but it became a little more taboo. It wasn't something you really brought up to people.
I
And
never.
Yeah.
It was
had
only in the
any friends who
last-
were into it. It was so hard for me because all the kids that liked it in my school were like fucking weirdos.
Well,
or
my
didn't know
sister and
them.
I mean, like, we had the Nintendo Color, or the
Game Boy.
Game Boy
Color?
Color and all that, and Game Boy
Oh, yeah, we
Advance,
didn't
so,
talk
like, that
about
was
handhelds.
like,
I didn't even talk
huge
about
for
handhelds.
us.
Yeah.
So it was just like, we were from the, like, the Pokemon upbringing, so it was just blue or red, who are you? Let's go, let's talk about it.
What side do you
know what
fall on?
I
Yeah, what
missed-
side do
I
you
don't
fall
think I
on?
had either.
Yellow, motherfuckers, because I got the Pikachu one.
I missed that whole wave.
I
Yeah,
know.
you did. You're all...
Yeah, I missed the whole wave. That came out, was popular. I couldn't have cared
Mhm.
less.
I had friends that
Yeah.
were... We would stop band practice because it would come on, they would want to play it. That was... It was never anything for me.
There's
Yeah.
Completely
not
off my radar.
a person on this earth that doesn't know that goddamn theme song.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But,
Pokemon.
Exactly.
yeah.
The first time I heard about Pokemon,
Power Rangers is another one.
I was actually working.
that
Same era, yeah.
of TV.
I was so about Power Rangers.
What
I
were
was
you
like,
saying, Joe,
Yeah.
about Pokemon?
Yeah, the first time I heard about Pokemon, I was working at Wawa, and it's gonna be a weird story. And I was just at the register, and some guy comes up and he's like, and this is what I heard. It's like, do you have any of those Pokerman cards here? And I'm like, what? Pokerman. And I'm like, well, we don't sell any kind of cards here like that, so no. And I asked him, like, what the hell's Pokerman? And they're like, oh, you mean Pokemon? I'm like, I
Sure.
guess. I haven't heard of that either.
It's so funny.
That's how I first heard about Pokemon.
and
Pokemon and it didn't even have anything to do with the game. It was like the cards.
Just the cards, yeah.
Well, that's what we didn't find out, right? What came first, the cards?
Chicken,
or the,
yeah.
the
The
show?
cards or the show or the game or...
I think it's the game because it's the game. The company that made it was like a gaming company. Like they made games for the Genesis before they made that.
Yeah.
We'll do a
What did
little
America
research
get
on that one.
first? The cards or the cartoon?
I think
Might
we
have to
got
be the
I
game.
think we got the cards and cartoon.
At the same time, I think.
See, I
they
think
dropped
we all
around
just
the
it
same
just was
time.
just
Probably,
like, here, you're
yeah.
gonna love this. It's gonna
Yeah.
have so much money.
It's a franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I remember I used to get really upset because my older sister we would get the packs, and she'd always take the really good cards.
Of course.
And give me, like the crap cards, and then nobody ever wanted to trade with me. I actually cried one day and like went home, and then they wanted to trade with me because I was
Yeah.
like crying.
Mhm.
Aw,
But I was like, I
Jen.
know they're just doing it because I'm crying.
That's why he kept
Here you
crying.
go. Here's a
Yeah.
holographic Charizard. I've got like 7
know.
of them.
This is
My
getting
sister
weird.
held
Here
that
you go.
hostage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, go back to Joe and his
Yeah.
work. So we
Pokermans.
left off at PlayStation
Yeah.
and then
I think it was the reason I got back into gaming with PlayStation 3 was like there are a lot of great single player games on that system. Like I'm not really into multiplayer games,
Mm-hmm.
but like Uncharted came out and like that was what made me buy a PlayStation 3. I bought it before it came out, but I just saw trailers for it and I thought it looked amazing. And it ended up being amazing. And the 3 games on the PlayStation 3 were like that. And then there was some good RPGs on there, like Valkyria Chronicles was a game.
yeah,
Some of my favorite games ever were on PlayStation 3.
that's a good game.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
good with that.
That was really where the systems really hit their stride.
yeah, and
I
then
think like the newer generation was like PlayStation 3, Xbox
Yeah.
360. That was when things
Mhm.
really
yeah,
took off.
turned into what gaming is today.
Multiplayer was largely PC before that.
Yeah. And that's one thing that Microsoft really brought to the table was multiplayer. Like they really shaped what it's like on consoles now to play online.
It's true.
So that was something I never bought an Xbox. I just hated Microsoft at that point.
Call of Duty on the Xbox 360. that was
Call of Duty 2 for me.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 2.
I don't think I played Call of Duty. I think the first one I played was Modern Warfare 2.
It's a good one too.
Or maybe just Modern Warfare,
We
the first
started
one?
with
I don't remember.
Call of Duty 2 and then we really started with Battlefield 2. And then Call of Duty 2.
My first one was Call of Duty 4, was Modern Warfare.
No, maybe it was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Yeah, that's definitely the first one I played.
Because then they dropped the numbers and it was just Modern Warfare 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to Black Ops and all that.
Yeah.
And the war and...
I'm terrible at those games, so I've got no input on that.
Like,
I'm not ashamed to say it. They're beautiful. I just... I'm fucking
I
terrible
was
at
always
them.
really bad
Just
at
ask your
it.
brother to play.
Yeah, that's what I did. So
Mhm.
I'm Charlie.
We'll never know.
Not important.
We'll never know.
No.
Wait, tell that story, please.
I met Charlie, and I mean, when he met me, he asked me. He was just like, "Oh, what are you doing Friday night?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm playing a Star Wars tabletop RPG. No big deal." And he expected me to be like, "I'm going out my girlfriend," and I was like,
Sexy
"No."
AF.
And I was like, "No, I'm sitting indoors with 4 other people, and I have a Ewok Sith, so there's that." And he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then and then he was like, "Oh, that's nice." And
I've heard of
and
that.
I was like, "Cool, yeah. Here's my gamer tag, this and everything." And he was like, "Cool, all right, cool." And then I was like, "Oh, what are you playing?" He's like, "Well, tonight I'm going on and I'm going to play some Call of Duty with my friends." And I'm like, "Love Call of Duty." And he was like, "Oh, you do?" And I'm like, "I love it, yeah."
just love how
And,
fake you both are. Just like, oh, Star Wars? That's good.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
That's
"Oh,
still around?
yeah,
Okay.
we're cool." And then I'm sitting there, and I had the games, and my brother would play it in my room, because that's where my nice TV was, my PlayStation was, and my Xbox, and he was just like, "Oh, cool, well, I'll see you on maybe later." And I was like, "All right." And then he popped on, and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know how to play. I'm terrible at this game. I'm just going to camp out next to this wall." And I lied my ass off saying I'm so good. So I was like, "Dylan, I will give you $20. And he was like, 12? So he was like, $20 is like $1,000, okay. So he like came into my room and I'm like, "The mic is on. You don't say a goddamn word. Do you understand me?" And he's like, "Okay." And I'm like, $20 on the line. My new relationship. And he was like, "Okay."
Future
And I was
children
like
are
telling
in
all
your
my
hands.
buddies, like,
That's-
Barnes Noble girl's gonna
Yeah.
play Call of Duty, man. It's
Yeah.
gonna be sweet.
So I was like, "All right, cool."
I
And
didn't
like,
know it wasn't
meanwhile, it's just him and his
Yeah.
other friend like, "Oh yeah, let's go over here. Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
oh, you didn't even see me." And they're like laughing, and I'm just like, "Ha ha ha, yeah, right? Look at me, I just took out this guy." And meanwhile, my brother was doing like okay for a 12-year-old
Yeah.
kid, and then I was like, "You know what? I'm really tired. I'm going to bed." Because I knew I
Mhm.
couldn't keep that charade up for that long. So
It's like a
I was
nerdy
just
Cyrano de Berge.
like, so it was just like,
Um,
it wasn't until later I was just like, that wasn't me. That wasn't me.
That's
You
hilarious.
married a lie. You married a lie.
Yeah.
I think that makes it better, honestly.
We've all done it though, in some capacity.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I think he scored higher than me too.
You were like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna live up to
My
this.
brother did a little better than me that
Yeah.
round, and I was like,
Tone it down a little bit, man.
I mean,
well,
it
goddamn.
is hard to play with one hand.
Everybody saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll to finish up now. Towards the end of that PlayStation 3 generation, I got an Xbox 360. Now I have PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and always been in PC gaming, just kind of the background here and there.
you have an Xbox One X.
Yes, I do.
To clarify,
Yes.
it matters.
It's out there.
It does.
And
Yeah.
a PlayStation.
I love
Pro.
mine.
Yeah.
I love my 1X.
I'll get a One X eventually, maybe.
Fantastic.
Probably
Yeah.
not. I'll probably just wait for the next one.
Honestly,
I just
yeah.
wish my
I still have the
TV
big
had
fat black
HDR,
one.
man.
Yeah.
I wish I had HDR. I know it's such a small thing, but it would look.
No, it's not a small
Yeah.
thing. It's
Maybe
looks
it's
really
pretty
nice.
good, though.
Yeah. But yeah, that's. I find nowadays I find myself going back and playing a lot of older games, retro
Yeah.
games.
Mhm.
Like, I collect older consoles
So
and
the retro thing they're doing on consoles now is fantastic.
yeah.
Like the fact that they're willing to spin up old games.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Xbox
I think
is
it
really,
matters.
Microsoft's really embraced that, and Nintendo has been doing that for a while
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
So it's really great. PlayStation's starting to catch up too.
Yeah. Well, they used to be backwards compatible up until the 4. Like you could play PlayStation 1 game on a PlayStation or PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3,
Mm.
and then like they were really good with that. And then this generation is like, nah, no more.
Well, I think they realized that there would be a market in selling them digitally.
Yeah.
It's
So they cut it off, and they could probably be like, well, we can offer the game again for $5, but
Classics
if a million
pack.
people buy it for $5, well, we just made $5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than have them go buy them in a dollar bin.
Honestly.
The problem too is that like the hardware architecture of the 2 and the 3 are so wacky that like it's hard to emulate them. Like if you like, there's a PlayStation 2 emulator on PC, and you need a really powerful PC to play a PlayStation 2 game because of how weird the hardware was.
Configuration.
And the PlayStation 3 was the same way. They probably didn't think it was worth the effort because it would take a lot of work to get it to work on a PlayStation 4.
Right. Whereas the Xbox was really just an offshoot of Windows.
Yeah, like it's been pretty standard hardware for all 3 generations, so that it's easier for them. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Like I'd probably go half and half between new games and retro games, and I tend to stick to single player games these days. I play fighting games multiplayer, but it's in bits and spurts, and that's the only.
I had the added social benefit growing up in upstate New York. Like, there was 8 houses in a cul-de-sac. We all had antennas. Nobody had cable because I'm not going up there cable. We had the benefit of having relatives that lived in Jersey and would send us stuff like gaming consoles. We were the hot shit in the neighborhood because we were the kids that, before us, you were just going out back and throwing salamanders at rocks. And then we showed up, and we had the fucking Coleco, and we had the fucking Atari. That was good levity to have.
I downloaded like all the Atari ROMs and got an emulator running. God, those games were such fucking shit.
Well, that's just it. Like,
they are shit, though.
realistically, like they put those Atari flashbacks out that you buy at like Rite Aid. Somebody said to me one time, they're like, "I would never buy that though. It fucking feels weird. Like, just buy the real thing." I'm like, it is the real thing. These games are not complex games. It's the identical copy of the game.
You don't need to go on eBay and buy an original system and try to find a TV that it works with. Like, don't do that to yourself.
I mean, if you want to be a purist, absolutely.
I'm sure. I'm not saying don't do
Like
that.
a collector.
Right, but like,
It's not easy. It's not easy at all to do that kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah.
If you just want to play the game, there's a million ways to do it other than that.
Right.
Well, that's realistically like, and I've always attested to this. Like, I was pretty heavy into gaming for most of my life up until, like you were saying, like the N64 era for me was kind of the cutoff because I saved up all of my like spare money that summer working at the Atlantic Car Wash in Pine Beach, drying cars, and then I took all of my Super Nintendo and Nintendo games and went to Funko Land and traded them in. I was gonna get an N64 and call it a day at that. I'm like, you know what? I'm moving on. I'm gonna buy an adult system. Done with this child shit. NES is past. Played the sample of Mario 64 at a friend's house, and I was one of the 1,000 percentile of people that got motion sick playing it.
Oh, really?
I'm like, well, I'm fucked. I can't buy this. And every game I subsequently played on it up until not that long ago, like even still, like we were just recently playing a game where I was getting like, and it's that one little percentage of people that they'll say in the manual, like, yes, some people might get motion sick.
The new Doom, I can't play it. I got so sick from it.
Oh, really?
Straight up, because I didn't lower any of the settings or whatever. I can still probably play it if I do that, but I think I just ended up deleting it. I was having so much fun.
It does have a
And
unique look to it.
Yeah.
With the
nauseous.
Well,
movement.
May said the same thing. May was like, I can't. She had to turn down the distance that you can view.
Yeah,
because
that's
that's
like something.
yeah.
I don't remember what it is.
But
Specifically,
I digress.
That's probably why, like, I have the Doom VR for PS4. But you don't move, like, the way you move around is not like with the controller. Like, you have, it's like you do in our the Vive demo on the mountain, where you, like, kind of point yourself to somewhere.
I don't like that at all.
And then move there. Yeah, that's why it's not very good. You know, I never got
Hour
into
3.
Nintendo 64 just because I hated how it looked. Everything looked blurry.
Yeah, it was very, like, after I didn't end up investing in one, I kind of felt a little bit more relieved when I started seeing a lot of the games that were coming out for it. Just wasn't didn't vibe well with me. Like you said, everything was...
The game that mattered was Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, like, it was just very, like, it looked like everything was like kind of like a step up from Virtual Fighter on it.
I hated 64.
Yeah.
I didn't like the controller, and yeah,
I don't have any game memories from that.
No.
I never owned one until recently, and even like I got one when we were working at Cherry Hill. I actually traded Ethan. Remember Ethan? Gave him a Game Boy, and he gave me a Nintendo 64 and all his games.
For a Game Boy?
Yes, because he makes bad decisions with money.
Yeah, I got to know this guy.
Yeah, he I traded the Game Boy for the Nintendo 64. I played it once, like, and it just didn't really speak to me, I guess.
Do you remember the Castlevania for
Yeah.
N64? Yeah, it was...
Harbinger. It's a harbinger for every bad, for that series should not be 3D.
I'm a level 1 Scab Wizard.
Scab Wizard?
Take it away, Scab Wizard.
Kristyn Scab Wizard.
I'm a level 1 Scab Wizard. My backstory is that I'm a half-orc warrior that lives with a dwarf named Ralph. No. My first encounter with a video game was Altered Beast.
Yes.
And it was and it was at my cousin's house that we played it, and I was just like, this is really cool, and that was that. And then I was just like, I'm a nerd, and it just grew from there. But then my real time actually ever putting my hands on a system and playing anything was my friend Jenny's computer was in her basement.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, you gotta see this game, it's so cool, we could play. And I was like, okay. We went in her basement and we played Oregon Trail on the computer.
Mavis typing.
Yeah. And we instead of just playing because it was so goddamn boring, it was just choose who you're with, and we would just be sitting there, and I'm like, I'm married to Leonardo DiCaprio, and we're going down Oregon Trail right now. And she was like, well, I'm married to Leo DiCaprio. So we had different levels of Leonardo DiCaprio that we were married to on the Oregon Trail. And then eventually,
the Leonardo DiCaprio
somewhere in an alternate universe, all those different versions of Leo are hanging out together.
Dying of dysentery.
Remember that one time?
That was cool. I remember I loved playing the hunting part of it.
I know.
And that was that. And then I remember I told my mom, I really want to play more video games. And she's like, you're crazy, stop it. And then, I'm a kid of the 90s, so it was Aladdin, and I had those little handheld shitty games,
Tigers.
The Mermaid one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Tiger
The Beauty and the Beast.
Those are the best.
I had a Candyland one.
I had a baseball one.
I had
Street Fighter.
so many of them.
Those were I went to the doctor, and if I did good at the doctor, I got one of those.
Yeah, they were.
So I had a lot of them because I was at the doctor a lot.
Those were my first video games, and then after that, I was a child of Sega, so it was all the Aladdin games and the Lion King game, which basically that's where my rage came out. Those fucking giraffes.
Rage quit.
And GoldenEye, the Toy Story game, and I was just like, I love Disney, I love video gaming, this is great.
This is
awesome.
the perfect blend.
Yeah, and then then DuckTales and stuff like that. But then we got a PlayStation 1. And my dad bought it, actually. And my dad, if you know my dad, he knew nothing about anything, But he was like, I saw that I could actually drive a race car. And he bought, the NASCAR 2002 or whatever it was. Yeah, it was absolute garbage. And my sister bought Paw Rapper the Rapper. And I got Spyro and all those other ones. And I was just like, these are the best graphics I've ever seen in my life. This is so...
It was just like a real purple dragon.
Spyro is really good.
The original still is good.
Really
You
good.
can get the remastered ones now.
Yeah, but then
I played it for an hour.
I was really different though. I went from
This is cool.
Good enough.
different.
Like when they released the Super Mario trilogy remaster.
Super Mario All
Super Mario
Stars.
All-Stars.
That was Mario All Stars.
That's a good
it's
one.
phenomenal, honestly.
It was really, really good.
I really only cared about the Spice Girl game, by the way, for PlayStation.
That was
Was
so
that? Did they have fat heads in it?
They had big fat.
I remember that
Big
game. Okay.
heads.
Yeah.
You had you had to put on a concert. You had to practice dance moves.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of
It
the things we
was
did.
so much fun, and I absolutely loved it.
That was a good game.
It was
And the
a really
cover
good
was
game.
their album cover.
Yeah,
The
it's-
white classic background.
Mhm.
The girls.
And then it had the
letters.
Spice World thing on the bottom.
So good. Spice
Yeah.
World was great too.
Yeah. It was,
Just
we
just
should
for
make
people listening, not watching it, as you guys were talking about that, Charlie's just taking a big chug of orange drink. Dustin's looking at his phone, and I'm looking at both of them, and none of us are saying anything.
because Kristyn got on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Spice Girls game, and then all of a sudden it just jumped because then
Shocking, I don't have anything to add
I know.
to that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't have a story about the Spice Girls game other than the big heads.
Yeah.
but
The only
yeah,
story I have is one time I was recording a podcast with some friends and my wife was talking about the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
my
yeah, I remember
exposure.
that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool.
Good times.
Super awesome people.
you're my last time lover. Spice Girls song, boom, roasted. Anyway, so then I kind of went backwards because then I didn't play video games for a really long time, and then I found this game, which is the best game of my entire life, which was Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And it completely changed everything. I couldn't believe that I had I cared about characters. All I wanted to do was play that goddamn game, and I cried. Like that was the first video game that actually made me cry, and I couldn't believe it. And Lavo scared the shit out of me. But that's my favorite video game of all time.
Did any of us actually play that when it came out? Because I found
No, I owned it when it came out.
It was not.
Yeah. That was my only Christmas present because it was not cheap.
Yeah,
we actually talked about that in the last episode with Justin. That when it came out, I think it was like $99, maybe.
Yeah,
I've never played.
It was up there.
It's
fantastic.
It's fantastic,
Never
and that's
played
what led me to play Earthbound and more of those
I'm
style
playing that now on the
games,
Are you?
Children of
on my
Mana,
Christmas games.
and stuff like that. So, and then at that point, I couldn't stop, and then PlayStation 2 was really big at that time for me as well, because now I was starting to be more like a teen, and I loved scary stuff and horror stuff, so the Silent Hill games were like
Good for horror.
my life. Like Silent Hill, and I just like fantasy stuff, so like Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, like those games were so good, and I loved them. And then I think was Oddworld? Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oddworld.
PlayStation 1.
That was a
And
good
then there
one.
was in PlayStation 2 it was Oddworld Odyssey?
No, Odyssey was the first game. I don't remember one for the PlayStation 2.
Maybe I'm losing my mind.
Because there was one, I think the next one was for the 360s, like Munch's Odyssey.
I'm sorry, yes. It was for the Xbox 360, yes. Munch's Odyssey. But those games were super, super awesome. And then, I mean, Final Fantasy IX, I love that game. That was wonderful.
Did you ever get
bought that.
Flashback?
Yes.
Yes.
The
Well, that's
super thin. It was like your avatar was like super, super thin. It was like a platformer.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a great.
Not to interject anything, I just want to add to that. That's why I just had to look up Oddworld. Oddworld and Flashback just had a weird crossover in my
I was
head.
gonna say that's
Because
the
they
same.
They're
play
similar
the same.
gameplays,
Like,
right?
it's like, they're like cinematic,
Skinny.
like cinematic platformers, because like you can't, like, it's not very fast paced. It's
No,
very
no.
strategic. You have there's puzzles and you can die easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Flashback. It's one of the best games I've ever played.
So-
Actually,
Out of This World was another game like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
those were good.
Yeah. And then Resident Evil took over as well. So Resident Evil, all those games.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I went to
Yeah,
Like
mixed
a
down on
college-
those too.
Oh, so good.
I went to a college Halloween party dressed as what's her name from Resident Evil in the red dress with the
No
with
way.
Ada Wong?
Yeah,
That's
I
a
went
good
dressed as her,
Mm.
and
They're like,
nobody
"You a hot
Yeah.
chick?"
Yeah.
knew what a,
Yeah.
oh, you're a vampire, you're a sexy vampire. I was like,
Ada Wong.
forget it.
I have a gun.
And, but like yeah, so like after all that, and then like playing with like Xbox and stuff like that was great. But like that like really molded me as a person, I think, because I was already different from like my sister and the rest of my family. So it was just like I would see my boy cousins at like holidays and stuff, and we were like, oh my god, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, and it was just like crazy to me. And then eventually I got to high school and I had no friends, so WoW was already super popular for me. So I was just like, this is amazing, and I've made friends online, and I can
People
I
that
miss
finally
it.
talk
get
to
me.
people, and I'm
miss
not
it.
awkward because I can talk and they can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the golden age because
Um,
it was very niche. Like
I
I
yeah.
didn't even play that when I was younger.
I think it was before the toxicity.
It was before the
Settlements,
toxicity for sure.
Like,
It was
and all
when like
multiplayer stuff.
yeah, and like it was when
Yeah.
like people were still like really friendly about it too, because like
Because they're just like, I want to make friends too.
I
Yeah.
attended a wedding on World of Warcraft
it's
when
amazing.
I was senior year of high school.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 2 people got married. He
Yeah.
lived in Alaska.
They're-
She lived in. I'm sure they worked out
The
fine.
classic
Worked out
classic comes out I think either this year or next year.
Yeah.
It's like the OG servers.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're rolling it back to like the original game that you bought.
It's interesting.
0 to 60 grind fest. No looking for group. No no dungeons. No automatic dungeon queue. None of that stuff. If you want to do Scarlet Monastery, you gotta travel there. Find
Wow.
some people to do it with. Really excited for that.
Yeah,
They
we
said it'll be included in your WoW subscription if you
still have it.
have, like if you up for the current game,
Mhm.
you'll get access to that. Would like to just I would pay
Yeah.
$15 just to play original WoW again.
Yeah.
Like original.
Yeah.
Then you wake up and you're 50. How did I get here?
Yeah.
But that's
Wow.
how, I mean, like, that's how it was. I would have my laptop all set up, so then this way I would be able to hang out with my friends and everything, get my homework done for the day, and I'd go and play WoW, and in fact, that was my prom night. Like, I didn't go, oh, I'm gonna get the hotel, or I'm gonna go to the beach. I was just like, who's going to see X-Men 2 tomorrow? We're going to see X-Men 2. Let's WoW. And, like, it was me, my 3 friends, Sal, Rob, Fox, and
My ideal prom night.
yeah, and like we went to prom, had a shitty time because it was prom, and then we were like, okay, well, let's get back to the house.
Back to business.
And our friend Rob had this huge house and this huge living room. We all just hung out and we played WoW, and then in the morning we went and saw X-Men 2
After prom land party.
after prom land party. So
That's cool as hell. I always wanted to be that person when I was in school. But again, like I didn't know anyone who was like actually down to earth, cool, who liked that stuff. Who
When
lived
it
by
launched,
me.
we should all play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We could have a little bit of fun. It doesn't have to be something we commit to
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
full
not like a
time.
grind fest, but like every once in a while we could jump on and have fun.
yeah.
I think it's a
I want to set up like a really nice like computer area in our new place.
Yeah. I think it's a nice recurring theme that we all have where we took a bit of a sabbatical from gaming in our lives. Just try to like
I never
dip
did.
our toe in the real one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to dip our toe into reality a little bit and see like what being a little bit of an extrovert and going and putting ourselves out there would be like. And it sucks. And it's good just to come back and go back to your digital world again.
I find a little bit regret in mine because
I did that with
like-
a lot of pop culture.
Yeah.
Not just video games. Like I went away from Star Wars for a while, from comic books for a while.
I find
That kind of
regret
stuff.
when I stepped away, kind of because all I hear from other people is how amazing the PlayStation 2 was, and I just don't have that view of it. And
Yeah.
it had to be something. It's the most
It was
successful.
super impactful.
But that's
for me.
that's me with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
like,
me with Pokemon.
yeah.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there for
I
it.
wasn't
My
there
dad
for it.
was always super into gaming. I've had it since I was like a child.
Yeah.
Like I had Super Nintendo when I was younger, and I had almost everything since except for like handhelds. I never really had handhelds.
This is Charlie. He lives across the street. He wants to come over and hang out with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Well-
Come over.
Yeah. You
It's-
want to go do something else? Nope. Where's your
Yeah.
fucking games?
It's funny because I would literally
Honestly.
like,
I want to play Blades of Steel.
Yeah, your
Fuck
kids are gonna
off.
have all the games.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's good. That's what I'm saying. Like, the same way of like people retracing their roots, retrace the gaming roots with them, sit down with them, show them where it all started, have a little history lesson. But it's funny
I
because
played
I
Resident Evil 2 with my dad
Yeah.
before I could even like really handle a controller.
gaming was, and I've touched on this quite a bit. Like gaming was my life for the longest because I was very asthmatic. Like if I just looked at a sunflower, I would have an asthma attack. So I was the bubble boy inside playing the games constantly, and like I've talked about it before, where kids would come over and like, "Yo, Dustin, I need a little help. What do you got? Want to help me grind a little bit?" And like play the games, and then they go about and have their regular childhood, and I'd be inside still playing. And it was right around like the N64 era, I kind of dipped off a little bit, and I missed all of it. I missed the Xbox. I missed the PlayStation era. I missed a lot of the newer consoles until recently. It was emulation that got me back into it again. I got a good enough PC to actually like run emulators that didn't glitch out every 30 seconds.
Right.
And the whole Pandora's box just opened back up for me.
Yeah, that's the way I first played Chrono Triggers through an emulator.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get into RPGs until Final Fantasy VII because I love the Genesis, but didn't have RPGs.
Yeah,
No.
I played
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger the first time on an emulator too. And
Yeah.
I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And did anybody else play Chrono Cross?
Yeah.
That's the best soundtrack
Yeah.
of any game.
That's
Ever.
pretty much all I can
So-
say about it.
Yeah,
That's my personal opinion, but
No, but everybody, it's so funny that you say that though, because everybody I asked them, like, oh, did you play Chrono Cross? Everybody's just like, either, yeah, and I loved it, or, nah. And it was one of those things where it was like,
how do you live up to Chrono Trigger?
true,
You
but then
don't.
You don't
Look,
top
Go ahead,
it.
Joe.
I enjoyed it. Like it's one of those games where I'd have a hard time going back and playing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved the first time I played it, and like I said, the soundtrack was amazing. And like it had a cool way of spoiler alert if you're listening.
Yeah.
Nobody's
to
listening.
get, to get the real true ending, like you had it's weird to explain it, but like each element in the magic had like a little different tone that played throughout the final battle, and if you did it in the right order, it
Came
played
out
one of the
to-
themes of the game, and it basically destroyed the final boss.
Yeah.
Had to good ending. And I thought that was like
and that was
clever.
just one small snippet of
Yeah.
how awesome that game was.
Mhm.
I mean the picking the characters to be on your party and having to go in and change all that, but I honestly, it's like it became like secondhand after
Yeah.
a little while, just like every other games, you know.
Yeah.
I remember
But-
two elements about that was the soundtrack and what was it, like 60 to 90 playable characters?
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not even being hyperbolic. There's maybe almost 100 playable characters in the game.
I don't think it didn't bother me
Like-
personally because Suikoden was one of my favorite
Mm-hmm.
RPG series, and every single one of those games has over 100 characters you can collect
Yeah.
or recruit. So I was kind of used to it. Didn't really bother me, but I could see it being overwhelming to somebody who was just like, I don't know what to do. There's like so
Yeah.
many
I
characters.
just learned this guy's skill set. Now,
Yeah. And also helped to like you only had 3 people in your party in Chrono Cross. In Suikoden you had 6, so you can.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier to mix them in. Whereas
Mhm.
Chrono Cross, there's like you had 50 characters
Oh my
sitting
God.
on your bench every match.
The
Mhm.
only problem though that I did have with it at first was I was just like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Just wait 19
It's
hours.
like-
You'll see them again.
You know,
What
that's-
the hell?
That's interesting. One of the most vivid memories of that game is when you finally
Oh
Yeah.
see
God,
those
yeah.
and like and the music that was playing during
And then
that
you're
time.
crying and weeping
Yeah.
because you realize what's happening around you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
you did it. Good job. And then those last scenes of like the house and it's on fire and they're all standing outside and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my God. You're just like, well, okay.
Have you ever played the
Feels.
re-release of Chrono Trigger?
On
yes,
DS.
on the DS.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
they kind of tie it both together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think that's it's a nice fitting afterthought that they did, where it's like because the last boss in Chrono Cross is the Dream Eater, or is it called the Dream?
It was
It's-
the
We have to go through all of the dragons.
Yeah.
yeah.
At the top of
Yeah.
the dragon tower, whatever
Mhm.
it is.
Well, the
and then, it's the dream.
it kind of like the whole game was basically wrapping up the storyline of Scala, who
Yeah.
disappeared
Right.
during the 1st
Mhm.
game, and the Dream Devourer or something was
Yeah.
was Lavos and her
Yeah.
who got like mixed
Mixed
together.
And they
together.
touch on
Yeah.
that in the re-release.
Because you have to fight
yeah.
that at one point because she's like floating inside of
Mhm.
him.
And you play her theme in the final battle.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
Scott
and that's
Shaw's
what Freezer.
theme is so good.
Yeah.
And then well,
I'm gonna have to revisit
if I
it.
have- we will. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should play it and podcast at the same time.
Yeah.
Ooh,
But
we can
the,
stream it.
I'm gonna put it on
Stream
your
it.
I'm gonna put it on your PlayStation
The
Classic.
Ooh.
I mean, if you had to pick though, I mean,
I need
I
to
know
get
you've
a
played
Honestly.
it
stick for that.
and you've
I
played
feel like I
it.
bought
I
that.
mean, hands down, Frog is like
Oh yeah.
he's
Yeah.
my favorite, and he's got the best theme.
Did you
but
rename him?
I was a little bit
Frog,
Yeah.
Freya.
Freya. you
or
named it
Glenn, or
Freya.
whatever. But
Yeah.
like he, the only
That's
thing I
right.
had to say about the DS version was I was like, what's with this box cover art? Was that from
Yeah.
the original? It's them in the snow, and I'm like, what
Well-
the fuck is this?
Well, no,
it's
yeah.
it's
bullshit.
it's the
The original's from with them being in the snow.
yeah, it was when
Yeah.
you go
I
to
don't
Zeal, remember?
Yeah.
Zeal's in the sky, but it's an ice age underneath it.
Ah, god damn it!
I have the Super Famicom version still boxed up, and I think it's the better fitting box. It's just all the characters in the front of it. It's a nice little display of all the
Yes.
characters.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that was the original one.
Yeah.
It's
Andrew Lita has the clock. Andrew Lita, if you're listening, I fucking want that clock.
We're gonna steal it.
I'm gonna steal it.
Yeah, I remember when that clock came out.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yeah, so I mean, not to get off track again, but from those
Yeah.
games, but like, the Final Fantasy games, that's like a whole other topic of conversation,
Yeah.
just because there's so many of them. But
Yeah.
9 was always my favorite because it was very whimsical and fantasy. I mean, they
Mhm.
all are, but like I liked how childlike, I guess, that
Yeah.
the main characters were. Because I
Some of them are a little like industrial.
yeah, like Steiner and stuff. But like, I got to like, I played 7 after. And I don't know where you guys were in the time of your life when you played 7, but I hated it.
That game was the reason I play RPGs. It's probably
Yeah.
it's I always go back and forth between 12 and 7 being my favorite,
Mhm.
but that Final Fantasy 7 changed me as a gamer because
Mhm.
that's when I started playing RPGs. I went to play Suikoden, Wild Arms. Like I just
Yeah.
started devouring anything that was on
Oh, Wild
PlayStation,
Arms.
and then I went back to like the Final Fantasy, like Super Nintendo,
Mhm.
and all RPGs on there.
I admit that the only reason I've owned a PlayStation in my life, I bought Metal Gear Solid when it first came out, and I bought the PlayStation specifically for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Only 2 games I ever owned on it, that and Frogger,
Actually,
because somebody gave it to me.
I remember because I got my PlayStation, like, it came out right around my birthday. My parents got it for me on my birthday. And I just remember waiting for that game for as soon as it was announced. Still remember the driving to the mall to pick it up and getting the T-shirt with Cloud on it, which I still have.
No way.
Yeah. And
Wow, that's cool.
But yeah, that's a game just like.
So speaking
Yeah.
of Cloud, so like I was older when I played that game because what year did that come out? Like
97?
7. Yeah, it was around
98?
Or 96 or 97.
No, it might have been 98. I think it was.
Yeah, I was just going to
was
high
after I
school.
graduated.
I don't think
but-
so because 8 and 9 still to come out, and I think PlayStation 2 came out in like 2001.
because
So there's not enough time.
I was gonna say because I played Final Fantasy IX first. That was like the first Final Fantasy game that I played, and I don't know what the story too was. Just like I loved every second of it. But like with 7, I was like 7 or 8 when that came out,
Yeah.
so I had no idea about this
Yeah.
whole world of
Was it
Final
on your
Fantasy
radar?
anyway. So when I finally got to play it, it wasn't until I was like much older.
Yeah.
And I'm like, his name's Cloud.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well,
And then I mean,
Parents must have really hated him.
I think I was most upset that it didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I was just like, yo, Tifa's hot as fuck. I was like, he better end up with her. Who is this bitch? And I was like, what is going on? What is Materia? This is,
I
what
know.
the hell? And then I got so upset by it, and I was like, you know what? No, wait. I'm liking this. I'll pull it back. And I was like, yo, Sephiroth? What's uppy? What is
Sephiroth.
up right now? Like, he's fucking dope as hell. And then I was like, oh, man, this is going to be a really fun... He's in a wheelchair.
yeah.
Like, okay,
Brrr.
all right, let's sit here for a while now.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that tiger was cool.
that was also like it was a turning
Red.
point.
His
Like,
name Red? Yeah. Cool tiger.
Tiger is cool.
it was a big like that game was a big turning point. People took RPGs seriously after that.
Yeah.
But what killed that
Absolutely.
game was they weren't taking translations very seriously
Oh,
in that
Jesus
game.
Christ.
Like so you get classic dialogue. This guy are sick,
Mhm.
and you know it helped. It didn't help with the translation of the
Right.
story. It didn't like after that they started actually investing in like
Yeah.
a good translations.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was an RPG for PlayStation, and I think it was the first game to have really good translation, and that was Vagrant Story.
Mm.
It not only did it have a
Very
good translation, it actually accurately portrayed like old English, like English. Like,
That's cool. I've never played
yeah, it's a terrible game to play through though.
that. Okay.
But the story was amazing. Like it was a slog to get through. But like
Okay.
the story and the translation were amazing.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not trying to just like bash 7 by
Yeah.
the way, because I did. There were the tiger, whatever his name is, 13.
Tiger was cool.
Oh, Red
Red 13,
Red
yeah.
13, Tiger's cool. Red 13
Red
was
Fox.
like the best part of it for me anyway. And I was like,
Yeah.
I like him. He's so cute. And then I was just like, yo, Sephiroth's back. Finally, they killed that girl. Get back with that hot ass Tifa, man. Like she's just in the back waiting for you, dude. Like get with her. This girl just like died or whatever. Screw it. Finally. So I'm like there like rooting for the Sephiroth, and I'm just like, is this like your mean older brother or something? Like what's the big surprise at the end? What am I gonna get? And then it was like Red 13 running into the hills, and all of a sudden it's just like everything's green, and I was like, is it over?
Yeah.
Did it just end?
Mm-hmm.
What just happened? And I was like, all right, I played it.
I mean,
I did it.
Chipped it off.
I
There's
know.
some really weird shit that happened in that game too. Like
Yeah.
you get through the cross-dressing part,
Yeah.
and then when you find Red 13, everybody forgets that he was basically locked in a cage with Eris with some weird scientists who wanted them to mate together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh, about that. Yeah, oh my god, the scientist.
Yeah.
In his weird goddamn house with the ceiling and all the
Yeah.
planets. Oh my god.
And then they just randomly run into him at that resort town, and they don't really do anything about it. 'Cause-
Again, I was just like, I was older, and I think that if I was younger, or if I was in like the mindset you were in when it was coming out, like holy shit. I mean, like that's like me and Harry Potter. Like it kind of goes the same
Yeah.
way. It's like that's a very time thing, because even for like Charley, who never read those books, didn't grow up with that whole arc or whatever, like couldn't give a shit less, you know. But I feel like it's very similar as far as I wish I was that age to appreciate it more, and I probably
Yeah.
would have thought differently of it, or would have hated video games forever.
The world may never know.
The world may never know. Oh my God, Carmen Sandiego game for the computer.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That game was amazing. Sorry, just
There's a Netflix series with her now.
Apparently.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. They brought back Pee-wee. They're bringing back Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
2 things I needed from my childhood were good.
Yeah, we're all good now.
I only learned what Carmen Sandiego was like 4 years ago,
I-
5 years
my
ago.
So
school-
that brings us into what we were going to talk about.
What?
The video games inspired TV and movies and bullshit.
My school made me watch Pine Beach Elementary School. Used to make us watch Carmen Sandiego. We had to go home and like write what we saw that episode.
Good afternoon,
Yeah.
slopes.
What was it? What was,
Wait, what?
it was a
Why?
game show.
It was a game show, but about like
but it was super educational.
but you had to like
Oh.
there was like landmarks and like different like historical artifacts.
Yeah. It was
You're
like
tracking a spy across
Yeah.
the globe.
It's probably the best edutainment game ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like I can't think of anything else that I actually learned stuff from, like a game.
There's
And it's
this
also-
one game series. It's like Rabbit or something
Math Rabbit?
like that. Maybe
Reader
Math
Rabbit.
Reader
Reader
Rabbit.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
one where you had to put on like a talent show.
Mhm.
I learned a lot from that game, and it was super fun. And I wish I could play it today.
I had we mentioned Mavis Beacon Typing Tutor,
Oh my God.
Math Rabbit, and there was another game, and I can't remember if anybody could possibly tell me the name. He was a red baseball hat and a giant magnifying glass, and you had to find out.
Leisure Suit Larry.
You had to find out like math equations and like
Sam and Max.
vowels. I can't remember it. I'll look it up later.
Look it
But
up. Look it up.
those are the games that like when we finally got our big like tech room in school with like 4 computers in it.
Yep.
So you played.
That's all we
Ours
did.
was
Yeah.
definitely Mavis Beacon, and I can see
Mine
it in my
was-
head.
Which when you're driving the
Very
car and you have to
educational.
type and the flies are splatting the windows if you don't
Yes.
type properly.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Do I type like that today?
Nope.
Well, I searched for it, but all I'm getting is Carmen Sandiego Math Detective. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh.
Well, then there was the game that was for like the other game where it was just like the kids would pop up, you would pick whoever like your avatar was and stuff, and then like you would see her like boom boom like throughout the thing, and then like you would have to look for the clues, and then you'd have to. I think you had stuff you had to read on there about different things, and you had to match it. So like let's say it was about Cleopatra, and it was just like okay, well Cleopatra was the queen of what thing and stuff like that, and like you
Mhm.
would find it, you would have to search for it. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but it was awesome. It was really, really good game. I loved that game.
Is it Math Maven?
I'm gonna look it up. I just typed it in and all I got was a bunch of kids wearing Donald Trump hats. So clearly not what I was looking for. But
Clearly not what I was looking for.
What did you search?
I typed in
Red
elementary school red hat mystery game.
Yeah.
My
Red Hat. That's gonna dominate every
The
Red Hat search.
Society.
That's
If
amazing.
you search for the actual company Red
Make
Hat, you probably
elementary
get Trump
school
stuff.
math great again.
Math great again.
Yeah.
So it was a really funny
I'm the
meme.
best at math. Everyone else is a total disaster.
Did you see what Anthony posted? He was like, the year is much higher than when Obama was in office.
Yeah, it's the highest year ever. Much higher than when Obama was in office. That's the best thing I've seen in a
so
long time.
fucking funny.
It's so
Oh my
good.
god.
Oh my god. But
And now we have speaking of like video games and stuff like that, like in TV and stuff, it's like, well, obviously there was Pokemon and that took
Mhm.
over years and still on, which is
Pokemon
crazy.
still dominates.
Yeah.
New Let's Go Eevee,
Yeah.
Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah. My sister just got the Let's Go Eevee and she absolutely loves it. She sent it to me and I went, how? How do you have it? And she was like petting it and it was like,
Mhm.
I was like,
Is
how
that
does she
like
do
the
it?
Yeah.
10 dogs?
It's on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't think I'll buy it.
I-
I'm not into Pokemon.
I need it for that. I really do. And
I
especially
grew
if
up
they
with
have
it. I'm just,
Yeah.
what is it called? The Eevee game? Was it?
Let's go,
Let's Go
Eevee.
I need Let's Go Psyduck. And my world will
I
be
want Let's Go
complete.
Bloom.
Aye,
Bloom's,
aye.
Bloom's always drooling.
I like the
Blue
toys.
is
Like a
you.
little, yeah.
Dude, I know. Dude, you're Bloom.
I like the toys a lot.
Get Bloom.
If I was a Pokemon, I'm probably Jigglypuff. Probably Jigglypuff.
You know what?
Huge eyes, microphone in my hand, singing. Jigglypuff.
You're definitely less annoying than Jigglypuff, but also just as endearing.
Or Chauncey.
it's funny. I remember. I know so many random
Yes, we all
Pokemon
know
names,
the
but
egg.
again, I don't think I've ever actually watched more than the title of the
Sure, with an egg.
episodes.
Charley is definitely Snorlax. What? Charlie, it's your turn. Roll. Your character's turn. What?
What?
Snorlax has blocked your path. Charlie.
Use the flute.
I really want that, by the way, because they have it at ThinkGeek. They had one that obviously everyone was sitting on, but you can get a gigantic.
We saw that.
chair,
Yeah.
And it's Snorlax, and I want it so
We saw
bad.
that, yeah.
Honestly, it looks comfortable.
I know.
want a gigantic Snorlax.
I want a
and-
Totoro. Fuck Snorlax.
Well, either one. I'll take either
Fuck
one.
Snorlax. Hashtag fuck Snorlax.
Yeah, so-
Hashtag fuck Snorlax right now.
Hashtag fuck Snorlax.
Tell me why you think Totoro's better than Snorlax. Hashtag
Leave in the
fuck
comments
Snorlax.
below.
Domination.
Yeah. Then Pokemon Go too, like on your phone and shit.
It's insane.
I
'cause
had
it-
fun with that when it first came
Yeah.
out. Just
Of
like
course.
everybody else.
I
People
don't.
still
Except
play
for
it.
Charlie, because
I
he's
feel
old.
like the only people who
I-
play it
Yeah.
are true
I'm
nerds
sorry,
and
I don't
hipsters.
get it.
They're the only ones
You
who
don't
play
Even
really
the
it.
Go, I'm just like, what?
It's all augmented reality. And
Pokemon
it's,
over there.
Augmented
Yeah.
reality. They're finally a part
No.
of our reality. Until somebody creates one in a goddamn lab with a type of tree last name, that's when I will fully be happy.
mm-hmm.
So it's gonna happen.
Let's
It's
go
happening
science. Let's go.
Stop testing makeup on animals and start splicing shit together.
Now this reminds me
Terrible
of
people.
a comic I saw recently. Basically, it shows a kid, and his parents give him a rat for his birthday, and they're like, "Okay, now you go out and save the world." And he walks out the door with the rat, and he's like, "Yeah!" And it's like this is the real life story of Pokemon.
It really
Yeah.
is. My question from when I was younger was,
Rat, go!
Yeah.
I remember I was just like Jesse and James, because the names
Throw a
of
rat at me, bro?
the names of those the characters on that show, like Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy.
Oh yeah,
You
no,
know,
it was
like,
it
they were
was
just so ridiculous, and I was like,
westernization
okay,
big
Jesse
time.
James,
Yeah.
did they fuck? And I'm like, they fuck. There's definitely the internet exists. They fuck.
Yeah.
When I was working when I worked at GameStop, I mean, I saw everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nightmare, and it was off a dare, believe it or not. Somebody dared me. They're like, "You can't get a job there. They're not gonna hire you." And I was like, "Why are they gonna hire me? I like video games." And they're like, "They're just not." And I literally came from an interview at PNC Bank when they were still, like, oh no,
Mhm.
they were whatever they were.
Yeah.
Um,
Commerce.
The
Commerce.
blood drop. Yeah.
yeah, and I like left there, went there, and I was just dressed in like nicer clothes. I was just like, "Hi, I need a job," and they were like, "Absolutely." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool." And then the next thing I know is I had a female manager,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when they started bringing more girls in
Yeah.
and stuff. But it was great because my word was God. I could just be like, "Yeah, this game is amazing." People were like, "Sure, you said it."
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because it was a girl. Like everybody behind that counter just knew more than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew more than you.
There's validity to
There was a
that.
point. There was a point in time, yeah, when the GameStop, like, because it was the same thing with Funko Land for a little while too.
Yeah,
Back when I was
yeah.
even a thing, like that person was there. Like I always just say, I used to romanticize, and not even because of the movie Clerks, but I used to romanticize working in a video store so much that like I'd be like 13, 14 years old. I'm like, I can't wait to be fucking old enough to work at West Coast Video.
Yeah.
Same thing with GameStop and Funko Land. I'm like, yo, that's the fucking echelon right there.
Yeah.
I was like, those are the people, those are the scions. The one you go there and you're like, what do you know? Impart your knowledge on me.
Yeah. Well,
Realistically, they just got a job.
and
And they're just stocking shelves in the back.
And
But
we would get like the pamphlet of like what we needed to know about the games, what we could say about the games,
Mhm.
to sell the game. But they would also give us a 4-day pass, so we would whatever game that came out, we would get our own copies to bring home.
That's
Really?
cool.
So
Okay.
yeah, and anything that was used, well, not like brand new games, but like anything that was used, we could take home. So when I was working there, the Wii just came out. So I borrowed, like, we all borrowed a whole bunch of games because we were just like, this is the future, this is insane.
The
You
Wii was
know,
a big deal.
and it was a really, really big deal. And it was, Kirby's Epic Yarn was
Mm-hmm.
so fucking good. That game is so good. I love Kirby anyway, but yeah, we got to borrow those games. And they always sent us like a t-shirt here and there. We were allowed to wear any video game shirts we wanted. So my attire was always pair of tan Dickies, my black and red Horde t-shirt, and like that was that. Yeah. I got asked on a date once. Somebody put their phone number in the gaming case. So I was like trading them in. I was like, you know, I had to
What was the
open
phone
it up.
number?
And it was the phone number. It was so embarrassing because
Who does stuff like that?
I opened it and I was just like, and I just kept. I was like, all right, you're getting like $70 back, or if you want cash, it's like $45. And they were like, okay.
I'm embarrassed. I have done that before.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. I'm like,
Dustin, was it you?
no, I did that at GameStop. That'd be clever, and I just never got the phone call back. I'm like,
The worst nights
maybe
of
the
our,
paper fell out.
I think we can all agree
Yeah.
the worst nights of our lives were the Madden nights. So, because it was just like bros under rocks and behind trees came out of everywhere and were just like, yo, bro, you see on the cover, bro? Yo, that fucking curse, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a nightmare. It's like, ugh.
I found love for Madden by running tournaments. Not
Yeah.
because I love Madden, but because I like the people that come to it.
But you love sports so much.
But I love sports so much.
I just don't like
I love
when
sport.
people say that they're gamers and that they're just solely sports gamers.
Yeah.
I always said, like,
Yeah,
when you walk into
that's
someone's
true.
house and you
Mhm.
see a game console and you're like, oh, what games do you have? And you're like, oh, like Madden, like all sports
NHL.
games. I'm like,
The Big Show.
what a waste of this. Like,
I know.
Waste.
why are you doing this? I should take this from, like,
Yeah.
the Dyfus of game consoles.
Seriously.
Like,
You should.
you're not buying enough
It's
games.
abuse, game
You're not
abuse,
nourishing. Yeah.
Game abuse.
You're not nourishing it enough.
Console abuse.
Yeah.
Neglecting this poor.
Oh, but I
poor
do
console.
have one game because it's super cool and it's Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Okay.
I play Fortnite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of Fortnite, I don't
Everybody.
mean to bring it up because it's like the herpes of video gaming, but like
Mm.
it is crazy to me that like that is what younger kids want to play so bad. And like you see what you played, and we all talked about it, like what we played when we were kids, and what we were just like, oh my god, it's so exciting! I can't wait to go on this journey or do what I'm going to do in these tasks. And then it's just like them just cursing at each other and like just it's a marathon, and it's just like
That's what Call of Duty
Okay.
was for me, though. Like,
Yeah.
shit talk, kill people. Like, that's what Call of Duty
You know what I
was.
think it is?
Same
and
shit.
I see this.
mine was Gears of War.
Yeah, I see this in common, like a lot of multiplayer games recently. It's just a way to hang out with your friends.
It's exactly all it is.
like that's a lot of these.
Everybody's
survival
friends
games.
do it.
Yeah, like it's just something that's acceptable to do while you're talking with your friends.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like, and whatever is most acceptable. Because Fortnite seems like a pretty good design game.
Yeah.
It's probably
Honestly,
better than
I
what
think it's a great game.
it's better than what it's competing against.
Mm-hmm.
And these kind of big multiplayer games lately have been just disasters, like Fallout 76.
has not done well. No,
Yeah,
man.
and it's like a lot of these games
I think
end
they
up.
rushed it.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that it was out.
yeah, and even Destiny,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
It did not do
Yeah.
well at launch.
Destiny, like a lot of these games, like Destiny turned into this boring grind fest, and the only thing that makes it worthwhile is that you could do it with your friends.
Yeah.
And you know, like the games that are most acceptable, like Fortnite, are just the ones that are rising to the top. Like,
Yeah.
in some ways, maybe I'm just being elitist, but like it's almost like, you know, making the games themselves less value.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
Yeah.
the greatest of what they could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I
Like
call
if-
them the water cooler games. It's like literally like your son might be on the basketball team. Everybody he plays basketball with also plays Fortnite. They all know what everybody's doing. They
Yeah.
all get
Oh,
together
your
and like,
son's
oh,
playing
were you
Fortnite.
playing last night? Yeah, it does the water cooler games.
Well,
it's the social circle.
I had the worst experience at this hot topic. It was I did though. It was at Christmas time, and I was in the Freehold Mall, and I know the pitches. I know what they have to do. I know they're just trying to make sales for
Yeah.
their kids, and I get it. But this girl, her literally, it was like her slogan. She was like, "Hey, welcome to Hot Topic. How can I help you? Looking for anybody?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just looking for my husband." Oh, big Fortnite player. And I was like, "What?"
Nope.
What?
Not everybody's
And I was like,
husband's a big Fortnite
No. She's he doesn't play Fortnite, and I'm like,
Nope.
nope.
He's an adult.
And then she was like, oh, okay. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm just browsing. Go over to t-shirts, and she's like, we have a lot of really good some other video game shirts. And I'm just like, what makes you think right now that he
I know.
plays video games all night? I mean, he does, but I mean, what makes you think that it's like you're going to Fortnite, and then what's the other one with oh my god, why can't I'm having such a brain
PUBG?
fart? What?
PUBG, Public
Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Player
Overwatch.
Battleground. Oh,
Overwatch, yeah. Because then she was like, oh, does he play Overwatch? And I'm like, nope, doesn't play that either. And she's like, oh my god, really? Doesn't play Overwatch either. So she was just like, I'm out of things to
Yeah.
ask. Because those are the two popular games. And she
Oh,
didn't know
yeah.
anything else. She didn't know anything else. And I was like, please go away.
I know.
And if I see one more goddamn Overwatch thing
I love
or
Overwatch.
Fortnite thing, I'm going to kill myself.
Well, I think Overwatch is
I'm-
really well designed and
It's beautiful.
I
Yeah.
love it so much.
It's beautiful. The characters, all of it's beautiful. I'm just tired of it. I'm waiting for
genuinely
the next
fun.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the next
I
thing.
see people start picking up Paladins, which
Yeah,
is like
people have been playing
Overwatch,
that.
but Paladins is starting to pick up speed because it's free.
I don't know. I'm so tired of it, and I keep seeing that like pinata.
I was gonna say the pinata. Even before I knew what it was, I'm like, these fucking pinatas are really fucking back in a big way these days.
Yeah.
These Mexican party tricks, they're really sound like hotcakes.
Yeah.
I like Fortnite. I like the lore of it, like LORE.
The
Like the
lore?
lore. Yeah, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Every single season that they have,
Yeah.
they add another element to like the universe, and it's really interesting. And I do watch competitive tournaments of it as well. I don't play it at all because I just could care less about playing
I'm
it.
bad at it.
That's just like it's the last game I ever want to play in my life, honestly.
I mean, I need a game with more action, like Train Sim.
Yeah.
Train Sim World.
Sim-Man.
I've been
These are
playing.
just like more low key games. Like I don't want to get shot 3 seconds into loading in because
Yeah.
I either didn't pick up the right weapons or whatever. I suck.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, maybe this.
Back to the Sims I go.
Yeah.
Oh, I love The Sims.
Maybe this makes me sound soft, but like, there isn't like a camaraderie. I feel like as much. There's not that sportsmanship of it. It's like literally, like, if you don't know what you're doing in the game when you first join it, you're
You
dead.
just suck.
You're
that's
dead and
most
you're trolled to
multiplayer
death.
games,
I'm not trying to sound like a
but-
parent. You're dead and you're trolled to death.
Right.
And it kind of takes the fun. I think we actually talked about this with somebody at one point, where it kind of takes the fun factor out of it. Like, there's no like learning curve. It's like you got to get really fucking good if you really want to play.
Well, I think that's what separates Fortnite from older shooters like that. Because all the shooters look like everyone's for themselves.
Yeah,
But you talk about Call of Duty is relatively simple.
yeah,
Whereas Fortnite is more complicated, and yet you're against like 100 other people. It's like it I don't know understand how it's so
Yeah.
popular with such a huge barrier
yeah.
to it.
Because you could just jump in and have fun and not like really do anything.
Yeah.
And you can feel a sense of accomplishment by getting to the end, but not having to kill anybody just by hiding the whole time.
Right.
But that's like
But it's kind of boring.
you're just sitting there and hoping nobody
Yeah.
finds you.
Yeah.
These things sound fun if
That
you're
game's
with
my life.
friends.
Yeah.
If this was a single player game, it would be total garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think you're
It's King
absolutely
of the
right.
Hill, and
Mhm.
you know,
It's King of the Hill. It's gotcha, paintball. It's the same kind of mentality. Like run and gun, hide, and like capture the flag. You know.
Yep.
Not fun for me. Overwatch though, I will play that
Yeah.
all day.
Like that's a game that's great. It's just
Yeah.
the player base is so toxic. It
Like
makes you not want to
Borderlands.
play.
Yeah.
I don't
So
talk to
I want-
anybody. I wish I liked Borderlands. I got Borderlands 2 and I bought the expansion pack,
Mm-hmm.
and I never played it because I just didn't have that much fun with it. Again, I think it's because I didn't have any friends to play it with.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
I think that was a big thing because all my friends were online, but they didn't play Borderlands. They played a lot of Halo Wars.
Oh my
First one.
god.
Halo Wars.
Yeah, they played a lot of that, my friends.
If that's one series I have to say I just never got into
Mm-hmm.
was Halo.
Mhm.
Maybe it was because I was so emotionally scarred from the people that came in to GameStop because of all of that.
Halo Two.
But I
Halo Two
hated
is
it.
like one of the best games ever.
I don't.
I respect that it is one of the best games ever done. I could not,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it.
It's just, I think it's suffering now. Like I think it should be
Yeah.
better remembered, but it's clearly being just milked
Oh,
Yeah.
way
Yeah,
past the
Absolutely.
point.
I just said that the other night.
But the
Right.
loyal fan base, like, love
That
it.
loyal
Oh,
fan
yeah.
base is shrinking by the year
I know.
yeah.
because
Trust
it's
me, I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, 11 people came to the Halo tournament? This is monumental.
Yeah.
You guys sure you know what you're here for?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, but Gears still has a good.
You guys waiting for
Oh
a
my
bus?
God.
What are you
I think
doing?
Gears going through the same thing.
But
Yeah.
I loved that
Gears,
game.
Gears is like going to be on what 5 or 6 now.
Who's
Like,
the
who that?
Five,
I
yeah.
didn't even care about the
Phoenix
story
again?
when number 2 came out.
No.
Voice of Marcus Phoenix.
Spender,
Asking you, what's his name?
Joe DiMaggio.
Thank you. He brought a lot to that game anyway, just because of the voice.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah, he's the main guy.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, Bender is
Yeah.
the voice
Sam.
of the main character.
But I just was like, oh my god, this is so graphic.
That's cool.
This is so good. That thing
Mhm.
is so cool.
First
The
one
killing
was
stuff
a
in that game felt
landmark game. for
Really
me.
did.
You fucked them up.
Especially
Yeah.
when they came up from behind you, you turned around and just saw them in half. They're like,
Yeah, the first one was an experience for sure.
So good. The second one was even better. Horde mode.
oh my god, yeah.
Horde mode was epic.
Gears 1 as compared to Gears 4, it's basically the same thing.
It is.
If
It
you
even
look,
looks the same.
and same thing with Halo. But if you look at a series like God of War versus the most recent God
Oh
of
my
War,
god.
like it's
Literally.
actually like matured and become something different, but just as good. Whereas it's like you're not getting that with Gears and Halo. It's just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Sort of like that with Assassin's Creed too.
Yeah, that's a lot of these series. Like they just
because they find something that works.
and they milk it till it's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
how it
right.
works.
That's original for them to come up with. But God of War definitely wins as far as everything consistently being amazing. I mean, like, there's not a problem. Besides, I can't beat it because it's so hard. Any of those games, as far as I'm concerned.
They wrote the first game as long as it lasted, and when it got tired, they changed it.
Yeah, it was just amazing. The second one, I mean, the stories, besides just the actual gameplay, I mean, it's for everybody. So if you want to try to play it for somebody who doesn't want to just sit there and, button mash on easy, you can try to play like the God mode where you know what I mean? So it's like there's different levels of play. The story's awesome. The characters are awesome, and
All I want to do is button mash on easy.
and the voice acting is great too, especially
Even-
with that game.
Even a game that I didn't like, but I at least respect because they did try to change the series, was Mass Effect Andromeda. They didn't just make Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3 again. They tried to make something different. Didn't work, but at least they tried.
But at least they tried.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, and then it shit the bed, was Dead Space.
Yeah.
Dead Space 1
Bioshock too.
scared the crap out of me.
Bioshock's
Um,
fantastic.
All three of them.
But
I
Dead
remember
Space 2
That game
was-
actually scared me when I found myself in a room with one of those giant things.
Dead Space?
Sorry.
The
No,
Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Bioshock,
Big Daddy?
Oh, Bioshock.
Big Daddy. First time
Yeah.
I ran into one, I was actually
Mhm.
scared.
No, Dead Space was like, I thought that was super cool that you have to go throughout the ship. You have to eventually get to those like pods where you can upgrade your armor, and then
Yeah.
like that thing on your spine would go up. I was like, wow, this is a really good game, and I was like terrified the whole goddamn time. And I have to say, as far as like packaging, like the special editions and stuff, that was one of the best like collector's editions I ever got. Because not only did it come with a bust of him in the mask and
That's
everything,
gorgeous.
it also came with the gun, that laser gun, and it moved and everything.
It's gorgeous.
I was like, how? That's amazing.
It was
It's
just so well done.
cool.
I
Say amazing a
remember,
lot.
I remember so much from that game. Like, it was just such a great, unique experience at the time.
Yeah, the baby things
Yeah.
crawling all over the walls,
Yeah.
and like, it was so
They
creepy.
nailed the environment of that ship.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I believed
That's-
100% that was a real thing,
Yeah.
and the whole obelisk thing in the ground, and then it was one of the first games to take its first person and turn the camera around. Remember that in the second one?
Yeah.
Because you always had your first person, you didn't know nothing about them. It was always just their hands in front of you, no voice or whatever. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the second one, spoiler alert, he like takes his helmet off, and the camera completely pans to the front of him, and he's like, "Holy crap!" And you're just like, "Whoa! Did he just speak? Are things happening right now?
Yeah.
Is he breaking the wall? Like, what's going on right now?" That was one. I remember that was a big fucking deal.
Remember,
People were like, "What the fuck? Why is he talking?"
I think it was the second game, but you remember the needle into the eyes part?
Oh God!
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I completely forgot about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I've been creeped out by a game as much as when I saw that
Yeah,
Which game?
Dead Space.
Oh yeah.
Like
with the
ne-
second one.
yeah,
with
the
in
needle.
the eye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just thought the character design was super rad, especially how your health was on your back. Like,
Yeah.
Your health meter was like a part of your character, but it wasn't like tacked on in like a weird, tacky way. It was like functional almost. You know.
Yeah.
Always have a nice visual cue of where your health was at without a UI,
Yeah.
which is nice.
It helped with, like I was talking, the environment was amazing. That helped with it.
Yeah.
Like you were really immersed in the ship because
Exactly. You weren't worried about. You weren't reading numbers off
Yeah.
of. You know.
Yeah,
You weren't concerned with
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
and everybody died.
Yeah.
So many people died.
It's a very dark story.
Everybody's dead.
It was a very dark story, and I loved it. I loved every. And then the third one was just
Yeah.
what? I was like, okay.
The second one was really good too. Like they just kind of dropped off a cliff.
It was so weird, and it was just, I don't know. It was like that other game for Xbox 360.
Road to Fiddler's Green.
The one with the finger screen. 2.
It's probably what it was.
The Road to Far Road. No. Oh God, why can't I think of the name of it? You were in the snow and there were those big giant alien like worm monsters.
Oh, Lost Planet?
Lost Planet
Oh, the first one.
was so
Really hard.
That game
Really
was
hard.
so
You had to
good.
fight the thing in the snow. I remember I had to fight the thing in the snow, and you could
yeah.
only survive. You collected those little
Tiny little
like orbs or whatever.
That was a hard
But everything ate into your power. Like
Yeah.
I think your gun. I think jumping. I don't remember exactly.
And then the second
but-
one was just like, oh, you guys really like that? Because we just can't. We don't got the budget.
There were so many, like, I didn't have it at the time, but the next Xbox 360 came out. There were so many good, new, and unique games that came out. Like
yeah.
Lost Planet. That was when the, what was that zombie game? Dead Rising.
Dead Rising was good.
Yeah.
Dead Rising,
Jam
yeah.
Rolls on original.
Blue
Xbox.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Blue Dragon was one of my favorite games.
Like that.
Blue
Like,
Dragon, we have it.
I know.
What's Blue Dragon?
It's
an RPG.
it's basically Final Fantasy if drawn by the Dragon Ball Z.
It's the same
Artists.
people
Oh,
who did.
neat.
Yeah.
It's the
Okay.
same people who did Dragon Quest.
Cool.
Yeah, and, and the
Okay.
Rocket Slime.
the creator of Final Fantasy was the director. Like, he left Square, and that was his, one of his
Wow,
first games.
that's cool.
You'd love Blue Dragon. It's really
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have these
That's
these like shadows that like follow you around, and then when you're fighting, they come out. There's like giant dragons that do different abilities.
Oh wow.
good. Dragon.
Cool as hell.
Yeah, there
Check
was
that
also
one out.
another game, I think it was
That's
for the
right.
Wii, called Last Blade. That was made by the same guy. It was a definitely different style, but made by the Final Fantasy creator.
Is it?
Is this on Game Pass?
It's just backwards compatible.
It's on Game Pass?
I think it might be.
Mm.
I have
Wow.
it though, but I think it's on Game Pass.
I'd play it. I'd
That was not what I was expecting,
Yeah, me either.
design or font wise.
Wow.
Actually, when it came out, a lot of people thought it was like super childish.
There's like
And
Yeah.
it wasn't.
3 discs.
Are you a
Three
serial?
discs.
What are you?
It
Yeah.
was really
They said
good.
if you just played the story, it's 1,000 hours.
I'm surprised it kind of faded like it did. And like, yeah, same, like he also did Chrono
Okay.
Trigger. Character designs.
Yeah, I just experienced Chrono Trigger this past year.
That's freaking adorable.
That looks good too. It holds up. Look at that.
What did you think of Chrono Trigger at this point in time, being your first experience with it?
Oh, I thought it was really charming and beautiful.
Yeah.
I really did, yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely into it. I just watched Dustin play. I didn't play it myself.
Mhm.
It was really cool though.
It made me remember, to get a little nostalgic, how I remember the first time I played all the way through, because the internet was at its very, very nascent stage. There wasn't a lot of websites that were up telling you about the fact that like there were so many different ways to beat the game and so many different variables. I remember beating it and being so satisfied with just that ending, but then finding out there was so much more.
Oh yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
What's this new
Was it-
game plus?
Oh my god. Well, I found out like that, and I was like, let me try to beat Lavos right away. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then somebody said, they're like, yeah, if you keep beating it with all these different methods and going through different wormholes throughout time.
Yeah, through time.
But
Yeah.
Get all these alternate cool.
I feel like that
endings.
game, like I said, it was an expensive game, but that's a game that knew you're investing in a lot of replay value on it.
Oh yeah.
And there's a few, like you were talking about that being a game that made you cry, like that was up there with me. I had a few games that really like got me choked up and really struck an emotional chord with me.
Like Earthbound,
Well, Earthbound especially, Mother 3.
Mother 3.
If you ever get a chance to play Mother 3, a big game for me, which I'm glad it's actually starting to have a lot more fanfare, is Illusion of Gaia.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And Illusion of Gaia to me, the first time I ever beat that game, like really got me. Really pathos driving game. But playing it again recently, the Chrono Trigger, I was like completely floored by like, to me it felt like it was ahead of its time as far as everything it was trying to do.
Yeah.
Like it still had its mode 7 moments that like it feels a little dated, but like everything else is perfect on it. The story's perfect on it, the character development's perfect.
They also benefited from something that it's pretty impossible now. It's like you said, you didn't know there were other endings.
Not at all. Like I found the immediate Lavos ending on accident because I'm like, let me try this.
That's just it's impossible to happen now. Like having me, probably my favorite game ever was Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
I beat it the first time, had no idea. I found out months later that there was a second
The upside
castle,
down, yeah.
upside down castle, and then because it's just there for you to find.
I just played it again recently because that was a game that I watched a lot of people play that game when it came out. Because to me, I just love like sitting back and just seeing how like because it was so far and beyond anything else I'd ever seen in Castlevania. I just tried to play it blindly recently, and I ended up beating it just kind of like based off memory. But I was like, it's a big time like fetch quest with a lot of stuff running around, like hoping you find the right item, hoping you find the right exit.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing with like I can't imagine being somebody not looking that up and trying to beat that. It brought me back to kind of how like Simon's Quest, like I obviously one of the bigger culprits with it, but Simon's Quest, like how did anybody beat Simon's Quest without somebody telling them how to beat it?
Simon's Quest is
Sierra's. There was the Sierra games on PC. I just remember too.
Oh yeah, Police Quest.
I have
King's
no
Quest.
idea what
Yep.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Gabriel
idea.
Knight. You ever played Gabriel Knight? That was fantastic. It's funny, like today at work, man. Like I downloaded basically almost every single DOS game that existed, and I was talking about it at work, and we were trying to figure out one game she used to like, and found out it was King's Quest 6. I actually brought it in for today so you can play it like DOS box.
I actually have a question. What is this game? I played it. I believe I was playing it on an emulator, but you walk into this like really creepy, spooky house, and then like as you're walking through the house, there's like trap doors and stuff like that, and it's really bad, but like it's really good. And like you would click on something and like a story little bubble would pop up.
Shadowgate?
Maniac Mansion?
Maniac Mansion.
Yeah.
Maniac Mansion.
One of the greatest
Maniac
games.
Mansion.
It's somewhere up here.
It's up there.
It's up there, though.
Games of all time.
Favorite game of all time, that game. Oh my god.
It was super rad, and I played that game when I was
always
like 20.
took Bernard.
And I was like, this
Yeah,
is
same here.
fun
Always
as
took
hell.
Bernard.
Yeah.
But
And then the
it
third
was
person
hard.
was toss up. I didn't always go with the same person, but always.
That was a multiple weekend rental for me at Clancy's Video in Beechwood. Every weekend I would rent that game because that was my big thing. As I'm sure a lot of people, Friday night was game rental night.
Yeah.
My brother would get
would
RBI or Bases Loaded, and I'd get that game every week for almost like 3 months to beat it finally. And nobody else was renting it at the time, so I knew my save state was going to be there. But
That's another crazy thing that people will not have to worry
oh
about.
I know, but
Kids will not have to worry about that. Like being like, I gotta get there on Friday because I have to make sure that all of the copies aren't taken.
oh my god,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And you know
So
what?
true.
Like, I understand it's a lot of it just pure nostalgia for me, but I really do miss that. Coming home from, like, I knew on Friday, 3 o'clock, as soon as I walked off the bus, we were walking down to Clancy's Video, and we were picking out our games for the weekend. Or, like, when my father had his one apartment, that was the big bonding thing, because it was an A&P that actually had a video store in it across the street. And my brother got his game again, more than likely RBI or, Tecmo Super Bowl, and I'd go and get my game. And I remember the last game I actually rented from there was Gilligan's Island, which is an awful, awful game if anybody's ever played it. But I have a lot of like really great rental store because I've told you before, getting a Super Nintendo for me, which was a big deal because that was my console. Like I grew up playing Atari and Nintendo, but Super Nintendo was the first thing I actually ever owned that was given to me. But we couldn't afford to get games for the first 2 years of it, so I was renting games all the time. I was always renting games. I had you can get the console with the one controller, and that was it. And that's when I ended up saying, like, Mystic Quest ended up being the first game that was actually ever gifted to me and I ever owned. But it was nice going there and, like, yeah, I'm done with this game. What's this one all about? This one looks interesting. And you had nothing to gauge it off of other than just the box art a lot of the time,
Yeah, box art.
My game like that was Batman for NES.
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah, like
Original Batman.
I rented that all the time, and then when my parents got me Genesis, they got me Batman for Genesis, which I thought was fantastic.
Oh
too.
man, I love that game.
Yeah.
Was that Return of the Joker or no?
No, it was based on the original movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great music.
Yeah.
It's a lot simpler than the NES Batman game, but I thought it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Weird to me that like that whole renting is gone. We'll never have to deal
Yeah,
with that.
Redbox still tries to push video games every once in a while. You'll still see it. It's like
I've never rented from Redbox a video game ever.
I used to do what was it, GameFly? I did GameFly very briefly.
Did any of you ever have a Sega CD, by the way?
I have
Yes.
one now.
I have one now.
Yeah.
We owned one. I never played it because my brother would never let me play it. But we had one, and the only game I actually remember ever playing was Jurassic Park.
That sucked so bad.
Yeah, he had Jurassic Park, and he had was it Plumbers Don't Wear Ties?
That was 3DO.
Was
though.
what was the one with
Oh, Night Trap?
Night Trap
Were
with Dana
bigger
Plato?
than
Yeah.
VHS Knights was on there.
Was it?
Knights was Saturn. No, where the guy flies around.
Yeah, but I thought that it was one for Sega
I don't remember.
No, it was just Saturn.
It was just Saturn?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like I have a Sega CD. Like I went through like a few years ago buying all the consoles I could never afford when I was a kid. Started with the 3DO and Sega CD. Even got a 32X.
How much did you pick up a 3DO for?
I got this was like 6-7 years ago. It was less than 200. I think it was like.
It's amazing because if you ever look at the old ads, they were like $1,100.
Oh yeah.
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 It was billed as a console and an educational home entertainment console.
Speaking of Sega Saturn, did you ever hear of a game called Burning Rangers?
Yes. Fucking
Good.
yes.
Good.
Dude, no, that game, like, I've never owned it. I play an emulator. That fucking game goes for, like, $300 if you want to buy it today.
And Andy Lita has it. But the best is its theme song. Its theme song...
Do you want to play the theme song?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
I think we've heard this. I want to see if this is the same theme song that Justin played that one day.
Oh, really?
Here it is.
Full circle.
In a world.
Yeah.
Same one.
This was the opening to
Sounds
the
like a
game.
talk show.
It's a game about fighting fires.
It's like Daft Punk.
Was it the concept of the game? Was
Yeah.
it like, did you ever play the Firemen for
No.
Super Famicom?
No.
Fly high with grace and pride.
I'm sure the fire department would get a lot more recruits if they use this as a recruitment song.
Oh, yeah.
That was the intro to that
Yeah.
fucking game.
That reminds me, like...
I would listen to that and be like, there's a game attached to this?
That's fire.
Yeah.
That reminds me that... I was talking about Castlevania something the night before. That gets crap for its horrible dialogue. But what was even worse than that was the song
Yeah.
that played when you beat the game.
I know.
It was the cheesiest knockoff R&B pop song you could ever imagine.
Am I wrong? Did they update the dialogue for the
Yes, they
re-release? That sound. I was gonna say. I was like, it sounds like they went to a dialect coach.
Yeah, and they changed the lines, too.
What is human?
What is human?
We finished Castlevania the cartoon.
Amazing.
Oh my
I like the
God.
first season better.
The second season was dope though.
It was pretty
I
fucking
thought the
dope.
first one was better, but I did think it was dope still.
Oh my-
Very cool.
The
Very
chick
much liked
that
it.
comes into the Camilla, right?
Yeah.
I hate her.
Yeah.
She was just very, like, mean.
I think they
She's a
had...
vampire, so
They had to... Well, she is from...
Why is she such a jerk?
Yeah.
I thought you meant the,
Sypha?
yeah, I
Cypher,
thought you meant
yeah.
her.
I thought she was... I thought she was fine.
I think she
Very
had...
endearing at
I
times.
loved
No.
her
Yeah.
accent.
She wasn't, dude. Except her accent was super charming.
Yeah.
She just kept, like, being bossy
Because
and,
she
like,
wants
judging
that
everybody.
dick, man.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
wants
well,
that Belmont dick.
I've
That
always said,
stinky Belmont.
I'm always.
I
I was
don't
very
blame
upset.
Don't blame her.
BelmontDick.com.
I was
don't think
very
she'd like
upset
it.
at myself for jumping on the bandwagon late with that because I think I had said to you before like I waited for years because there's been a Castlevania media project in development since I'm a kid. Like I said, Jonathan Frakes from TNG was supposed to be Simon Belmont back in the '90s for a movie, and then that kind of got shit on, and then
Good.
back in the, I think he would have been great,
I'm
especially in Star Trek's heyday.
I'm
think he
hoping
would've been
that
fantastic
this kind
at
of
it.
launches it into like a real thing because I mean, like real people, but like it was more violent than I thought it could be.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I remember, Joe was here the one night talking about it, and I was just like, man, I gotta try to watch that. And I watched one night of it, and I was like, ooh, I'm getting kind of sick. Can't watch this right now. And I muddled through it. And then the second season, I didn't even realize I was on it. I was just like, I can't believe it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm almost done with this.
Yeah, we watched it pretty quickly.
The show did this is the most perfect adaptation of a video game to TV
totally
or any other kind of media that I've ever seen, solely for the fact that they could have taken the easy route, the low-hanging fruit, and be like Simon Belmont versus Dracula. There's stuff picked from Chronicles, there's stuff picked from every aspect of the Castlevania universe. I'm sorry, like, the average Castlevania fan, somebody that just plays out this, most of them don't know Richter.
Yeah.
Unless you play 3 or anything, like, you don't know, like, Richter or anybody else in that game. You don't know Sypha.
No.
Virtually every character in that game is from somewhere in the games. Like, Carmilla's from one of the PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah.
Those 2 Demon Makers are also from the same games.
Are they Chronicles?
No,
those
they
two?
were Curse of Darkness.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Ooh, and she did his ass dirty at the end of that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, the animation is absolutely beautiful, and you're completely correct with saying that it's probably one of the most closest things that
Oh my
we've ever
god!
done to
If they can keep with that with a lot of other video game shows that they're talking about making now, like now they're talking about doing a Zelda series with the same creators, like if they can do it that way and not just be like, here's the first Zelda game, here's the second Zelda game, like pluck from all the universes, and be like, this is expansive.
I think that, I mean, I only played a couple Castlevania games, but I absolutely love it. But I mean, like, just watching that series is great. But all I needed was that last 2 episodes, because that battle.
Dude, with the way they got that music from the game they put in there.
Oh my god! And I remember you said that you were like, you were saying
Bloody Tears.
Like, oh my god, they're playing the song. It's insane. And I remember I was just like, this is the best thing. They ended it, and then I was like, oh my god, there's still one more episode.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Also,
And
we
it was
thought too, like, okay, and then we went, oh.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
and it was
sweet.
super, super dope. And I mean, personally, I again, this is where I think I missed the mark as far as Zelda goes, because I didn't have a Super Nintendo or anything like that. So like, I didn't start with Zelda, and so many people love it, and I feel like some people just love it because they have to. And
That is absolutely
I
true.
definitely feel that way. It's just like, oh, you like video games? Here's some Zelda stuff for Christmas. You probably like Zelda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, there's so much of it. There's so many games of it. And there's so many, there's just so much stuff to it. Like merchandise. Like, it's crazy.
I have no problem admitting, like, with Zelda, I grew up playing 1, 2, Link's Awakening, Link to the Past. After that, fell off the roll, and I realized there's about a dozen games beyond that.
Well, but
it's like,
it goes back to what I was saying before. That series has reinvented itself multiple times, and it's been fantastic. I mean, I'm not the hugest Zelda fan, but I can recognize every time it reinvented itself, it did it really well. Like with Ocarina of Time, and then with Breath of the Wild, like that's like they know what they're doing.
Ocarina of Time was the first Zelda game I played.
Yeah, same.
And it was great.
64, my aunt had it. I played it at her house.
But it's definitely not one of my like favorite, like the best things I ever played, but it was super, super good. I think that's another one that if they were to make a show, I think people like myself and other people who aren't really into them will either get inspired and then they'll want to go back and play them. Because now that I have like we have everything, like I can go back and I can play those games.
Yeah.
That's another game that still holds up really well.
yeah.
Well, making that TV show, I think, will be easier because, like, there's no timeline in Zelda. There's just the archetype,
That's
and
all
then
it
you
is,
can just do whatever you need to do to make it work.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is, if you've ever watched any of the old episodes of Super Mario Bros. Super Show, when they'd have every Friday, I think it was, they had the Zelda cartoon.
Yeah.
It's even aside from like the corny like voice acting that's kind of become a meme now. Like, excuse me, princess. Like,
Excuse me, Bruce.
those are actually like for that point in time before like the whole other canon that was there. Pretty good interpretations of the game.
Yeah.
She's kind of a badass. They don't play. She's not a damsel in distress in it. She's kind of a badass in it, and he's kind of like a bumbling like accidental hero, and just Ganon constantly trying to get one over on them. Those were good cartoons for interpreting the show.
And Nintendo was ahead of their time. Like, I think, like, really the first game was along where she was completely helpless, or NES games. Like, they were like slowly empowering her for a long time.
Yeah.
Before, like, whereas, like, I really liked how she was in Breath of the Wild. Like, you guys are still
We haven't
playing it.
gotten there
I
yet.
don't even think we're anywhere even close to finding her yet. that is a game I will say I like. I'm addicted to that
I'm
game.
super into it, and it's teaching him like newer controls.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is my crutch right now because I wasn't exaggerating when I said like it wasn't until recently. The first time I ever played an Xbox was when you and I started hanging out. First time I ever touched an Xbox controller. I played PlayStation here and there, obviously, but like that was my first foray into modern gaming. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's getting me more used to the gaming mechanics. I'm still stuck on that XYBA button setup that I grew up playing.
Yeah, and it's understandable.
But yeah, Breath of the Wild's like that game is something special, and the fact that it's so open world, and there's always something going on. I don't ever feel bored with it. There's definitely times I'll put it down, be frustrated, be like, I'm gonna walk away for a little while, for like a night, and then come back and try to figure this out.
Like
but,
if I was somebody that could buy that franchise, I can buy it and market it. Like if I was Disney, I would fucking buy that shit and run with it and make a show.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Because their animators would be able to do it.
I think it's Nintendo's strength is that they respect their IP. They're not just going to hold it out.
No, it's true.
Which
very
Disney
true.
might.
Disney should make a Kingdom Hearts thing. I think that there's so many levels of different people that love those games.
They touched on it briefly. I think they talked about it, but I don't know if there was something. I mean, it's essentially like an action RPG Roger Rabbit. That's what I've always said Kingdom Hearts was. Yeah. Like all these different IPs that are jammed together, like even ones that are loosely connected, intellectual property.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is like they have to like you can't. There's no way they can integrate the actual game plot into a show because the plot is absolutely incomprehensible and insane. Yeah. So they have to do their own thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that like even if they were able to just take that and even just have it be that like even if they were to make like a new character or if they were to take like a new thing and then put it like okay well now you're here and now you get to jump through the worlds and now here's a reason for us to like market this
that'd be cool.
And here's a storyline that we can just roll with. It's like oh okay well shit got scattered now you gotta go find Roxas and Sora.
Am I mistaken in that the new Kingdom Hearts actually has like Marvel characters in it? No.
Well, I mean...
Not Big Hero 6, but it's...
I mean, I would assume... the game was leaked, so I assumed if it was a secret, it would have leaked out already.
Okay, somebody had mentioned that they thought there might be, like, Marvel characters kind of sprinkled throughout. Other than Big Hero 6, that's kind of loosely...
I mean, like, this game... The game has been in development for so long, and they just, like... They just
acquired,
bought Marvel, so...
Yeah.
I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I think less than a month.
Yeah,
I cannot wait.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2, and then 2 days later, Kingdom Hearts 3.
I would be too scared to play Resident Evil 2, but I'm still going to buy it.
It's funny. I was at GameStop on a Friday, and there was 10 o'clock in the morning, and there was already, like, there's a bunch of people walking in, pre-ordering Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. I don't know if you get anything good for pre-ordering it.
Mm-hmm. They had a little package thing going on.
It's not, like, I want physical stuff.
Yeah.
I want a Pow Pow Fruit tattoo.
Pow Pow Fruit?
Oh, you should get one. That'd be cool. That's a good idea.
And that's another one that made me cry. I mean, how could you not cry when Winnie the Pooh is talking to him and he's just like, don't worry, Sora.
Winnie the Pooh's in the game?
Yep.
You've never played?
No.
Oh,
we started playing it.
No, they have the 1 and 2 on
Why did you stop me?
PS4.
Yeah, Trisha actually owns them, so we have them.
Oh, yeah?
Please play them.
Oh my god, I will...
The whole Winnie
so
the
many
Pooh
games we're playing.
section, and now I sound like softy, but the whole Winnie the Pooh part is just so childish, and it takes you to that point of your, you know what I mean? Like it's just.
I say Winnie the Pooh was my jam as a kid, big time. I grew up with Winnie the Pooh. That was my nickname as a kid.
Winnie the Pooh.
Pooh Bear.
The cartoon show that was on Disney Channel.
Oh my god.
You know, I only have one problem with Kingdom Hearts 3, and that's that Kingdom Hearts 2 ended so perfectly. I wish they didn't go forward with anything, but we're so far beyond that at this point. There's been so many games that come out since then for portables.
I don't like the theme song much as the other two. It gives me chills. Do you guys want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
I like to wrap it up with 2 different things. I'm going to ask you all your favorite video game, even though Kristyn already kind of said it.
We've all said it.
And I want to ask everybody if they've played the game Blazing Dragons, which I know I know the answer already, but that's how I wrap up every episode, because you guys are all my good friends.
All one of them.
Alright, so cool. What's everybody's favorite video game, Joe?
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And no, I've never played Blazing Dragons, not once, not ever.
Why do you like Symphony of the Night so much? Why is it your favorite?
I actually didn't like that genre before I played that game.
Metroidvania.
Yeah, like that game made me go back and play Metroid, and I played every kind of game like that as much as I can since then, and nothing has topped it. Like I just remember a point where I was like, succinctly remember it, where I'm like, I thought I've never had this much fun playing a video game ever, and I remember the exact point it happened. It was in the church kind of big steps with the music kicking in. I'm like, this music is awesome. I love what I'm doing. This looks amazing. Like it's never gonna get better. So it just unlocked a whole genre for me. Like I played great games in that genre since then, like Super Metroid and Hollow Knight. Yeah. And nothing tops it. No. And those are some amazing games on their own. I was just joking. We played Blazing Dragons together.
Mine's Chrono Trigger, for sure. It was my first time. It felt like my first time. It was
like the first time.
Yeah, but like it was same thing with like Joe said. Like the music was awesome, and I felt for the characters, and I really felt like from there on I was just like, oh, I hope I get to play other games that are just like this, and it led me into playing more games. So I'm super grateful for it, and I definitely think that there's other contenders in there, especially now with like new ways of gaming and everything. Like I absolutely loved like Mass Effect and Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, but that I'll never experience anything like that, I don't think. And if it does, then that's going to be one really hell of a game. But yeah, I think I'm going to go play it when you guys leave, because I have it for my DS.
Beautiful.
And no, I've never played Blazing Dragon, but I would like to.
I know.
It's fun.
I'm too busy playing this dress-up game, though. That's what I'm going to be doing. So,
dude, I'm telling you, Mickey. I love Mickey.
We've got a conversion.
Good. I just made that happen. Charlie, what's your favorite game?
Lord, there's so many. Best favorite game ever? Probably Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for Nintendo.
That's solid.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
It's just like, that's a game I can play anytime, and I can remember most of the patterns. So I can beat most of the guys on the first playthrough. When I start to get up to like Super Macho Man, it's when I start to struggle a little bit. But up until that point, I know that game like the back of my hand.
I think everybody remembers their first time knocking Mike Tyson out.
Still,
that's
one of the
a
most
feat
fun
of the Titans
games of all time for me. Some other close ones would be like NHL Hockey 1996 for Sega Genesis was a really big one.
You don't even need to like hockey to.
Those old EA Sport games were phenomenal.
It was beyond
I still have all
a
of them.
hockey game at rate. So tough. It's probably Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. It's definitely a Nintendo game. It could be RC Pro-Am. I really like that game a lot.
Not Stardew Valley.
But you just need to pick one. What's the one?
I don't know.
Your one and only.
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah, it's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Can I ask you, how do you feel about just Punch-Out?
What do you mean, like?
Sans Mike Tyson's after his license ran out? Same game to you feel, or?
Yeah, but it's just not.
Yeah, felt cheapened.
I mean, yeah, I don't.
You feel special knocking out Mike Tyson.
Yeah, knocking out Mr. Dream.
Yeah, Mr. Dream.
Yeah,
Mr. Dream.
White Tyson.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, specifically.
You ever play Blazing Dragons?
No.
It's been said. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening to our podcast. What?
Who answered the questions?
Yeah, but
I know you play Blazing Dragon, but what's your favorite game?
Why not?
My favorite game of all time is Resident Evil 2. I grew up playing it. I played it with my dad. I mostly watched him play it, but he let us play sometimes when it was like, kind of safe and he wouldn't die. He wouldn't lose his game. Resident Evil 2. I think the story's super lush. I like that you can play as both characters and get a lot of value out of the game. And the walkthrough was exceptionally beautiful because it had like illustrations of Claire and Leon as zombies and not as zombies. Resident Evil 2 is the best game ever.
Cool.
Yeah, what about you?
Illusion of Gaia, hands down. You know, it's I'm glad it's getting more popular now. Over time, getting a little bit more appreciated. I just think it's the perfect blend of emotion and good storytelling. It's
such a good game.
Yeah, it's got a great fight dynamic. When you finish the room, you get to level up. It just has a good solid story to it, a good message, and you actually feel like you get to know the characters a little bit. You grow with them, and you watch everybody kind of go from just being school children to becoming heroes.
Yeah.
Link to
And
the
then-
Past.
Link to the Past is kind of in the same realm, but it's like by the end of the game, and I won't spoil anything for anybody that plays it, your heart's torn in two because like you just watch these two main characters like grow up so much in front of you and like become young adults and like fall in love, and then just an emotional struggle happens at the end that kind of really tears at you. So yeah, that and we talked about Maniac Mansion before. It's probably a close second for me.
Cool.
Cool. All right.
All right, guys, we did it.
We did it.
Thanks
We
for
made
listening, everybody.
it. Thanks.
Y'all come back now.
Subscribe to
Anticlimactic.
Fake
Thanks.
People Gaming.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Fake People Gaming.
Thank you for listening. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Jen. You can catch us at YouTube, real.people.gaming, on Twitter, realpplgaming, and on Twitch at real_people_gaming. Thanks for listening.